Earth is very flat.
What's up, everybody? It is Tuesday, March 16th, 2021. I'm Brandon, host of Brandon's Show. Hope everybody's doing good out there on this fine Tuesday evening. I feel spring more and more every day. No offense to our southern hemiplane. That's the word. Hemiplane friends, but I'm happy to see the warm weather coming. Let's see who we got in the chat. Let's say hello to start off with. Bill G. Sound is good. Thank you very much, Bill G. Rob the Truth. TMF. So, Your Honor, I say the Earth is flat. What do you think? Case dismissed. Mark Collard, Ian Adams, YouTube, Mark Beretta, Enigma, Ian Adams, Red Pill Paul. Let's see, who else? Scrolling. The Plain Truth. What's going on, guys? Hemi Dodge. I've never owned a Dodge. Actually, I did. I owned a Dodge van, a full-size van, one of those ones with the side doors that open up. It was pretty freaking sweet. Had a V8 engine in it. I liked that vehicle. Expose Antarctica and page 42. Sliding in. What's going on, guys? All right. Let me see. I haven't even clicked on Discord to see who's over there. Got a couple people over there. Looks like the On the Level crew. At least part of them are in there. So it could be an interesting night. We'll see what happens there. If you want to support the show, here's a donation link. Let me put it in the Streamlabs link. Here it is. I don't care how you support the show, but this does cut Google out of the middle because they take 30%. So I don't really like giving Google money. I know we're using their platform and everything, but those guys are kind of creepy. Anyway, there's the link. I pinned it to the top. And any support's appreciated. You can also support the show by coming into the Discord, hanging out with us. We've had a lot of new people. I mean, it's been pretty steady group of new people that come in. Sometimes they, just listen, sit quietly, speak up every once in a while. And sometimes they get really active. So, you don't have to be on the show if you come in. You can just sit in there and listen and play with our baller trolls. Or be a baller troll if you're so inclined. I don't know why you'd want to do that, but I mean, it's a free Discord. It's free Discord for the most part. Anyway, yeah, come on in. The link is in the description. So just click on that. If it doesn't work, let me know and I'll fix it. What do we got going on tonight? There was some very interesting videos that Iban Kim put together. He was in the show last night, but I didn't put two and two together that he had sent me those. So we'll take a look at those. A little bit of NASA fakery. Everyone loves NASA fakery, including myself. And I think Travis has got some new stuff out. So I'm not sure if you wanted to talk about that. And we can see what's up, what's new with Bev and On the Level crew, what those guys are up to. Ask them how the progress is going on their test, if they're still doing that. And that's about all I got planned for tonight. But, Effie Dogma put out a video. I don't know if it was directed towards us. I didn't watch the whole thing, but it's about the Moonline Terminator. Actually, WS sent me a link to that. And I looked at it and I go, that might be interesting to talk about why the moon looks a certain way. I think any answer that we're going to come up with is going to be speculation for the most part, but that might be fun to talk about. And we'll see where it goes from there. But anyway, let me go into Discord and we'll say hello and get things going.
Of gunpowder thing that you get on a very fine screen.
Greaseproof paper baking tray.
Yeah.
Pour out your mix. Anyway, we shouldn't really discuss this on Discord. It's not a good thing.
Yeah.
Well, no, I was just wondering.
And yes,
if you
folks,
could use a
that is the
banana
wrong channel that we're currently listening
nitro.
to. Here's our
he is.
friends. What's up, guys?
Oh, he is here.
Yo,
What
what's
up?
up?
What's up? I accidentally clicked into gems, so we had about 30 seconds of listening to
That's what was going on.
VD and somebody else talking. I'm like, what the fuck are these guys doing in our Discord? That's weird. And then, of course, I realized
I just want to say I watched the Sean Hawkins video yesterday. That shit was hilarious, especially the part where he admits to smoking crack. I would have guessed meth. However, crack does explain a lot.
Yeah.
I don't smell crack, but I don't now.
Yep, that one. Yeah. That's my favorite video that I've put out. It's comedy wise. But
Yeah, it's good.
I told you that Sean Hawkins, he's a genius, right, Jeremy?
I mean, he's ahead of his time, or something's going on.
Or something's going on. Oh, yeah, something's going on. That's for sure. That whole debacle with his EQ mount, what really cracks me up is he was bugging me for like, fuck, man, I don't know how many months. He probably bugging a bunch of people about this.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, about EQ mount. Where's your EQ mount?
Yeah.
Where's your EQ mount? Where's your EQ mount? First of all, I never said I had a fucking EQ mount. I might have said in the living room sarcastically or something like that one time, I think. But so he goes and buys himself an EQ mount and can't get the fucking thing to work. He's practically crying on video, calling the manufacturer, going online and having like hour-long chat sessions with the help people, saying he wants to return it, getting Wolfie and all these other people to try to help him out and saying, fuck this, I'm going to sell it. So funny. So funny. Yeah, he hasn't been around much lately, so those that are newer to the channel or the community may not have had that much interaction with good old
You're not missing much.
Squawkins, but he used to be a staple.
Yonkins.
Yonkins, that's a pretty good one.
I like to call him Sean Pookie from New Jack City, Hawkins.
I'll have to look that
That's probably
reference
why he
up. I
left.
can't remember that.
No, he left because Jose emasculated him.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he even said that. That was funny.
Yeah, he had a rough time there then. It seemed like every month or so, more frequently towards the end, it'd turn into a blow up because he'd get pissed off. Like he'd invite someone to come on to Jose's show and then they'd come on and he wouldn't get to ask them questions.
Jose banned him, didn't he? Jose had kicked Sean as soon as he brought Witsit in, right? And then Jose kicked Sean.
Oh, that's right. Yep, that's right. I think I got part of that in my video. That was so fucking funny.
No loyalty among globe heads.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're some of them are good for a laugh. There's some all right ones, but there's some good ones for a laugh. I'll put the link to that video too in the YouTube chat so you guys can check it out later or whatever if you don't know what I'm talking about. But otherwise, so hey, what's going on, guys? Let me say hello to who is in here. Bev, try thinking. What's up, man?
What up?
Chrissy 2000. What's up, Chrissy? She might just be listening.
All right, just going. No, I am just listening. I'm just looking at a book written by David Clark, which seems to have been completely altered.
Really altered? Altered in what way? I'll have to stop.
Revised. This is like the 6th edition, and obviously with modern developments bringing it into line. Originally written in 1923.
Huh.
But I just found it very interesting. It's just all really astronomy.
Well, that's interesting. You'll have to tell us what you find out. Give us a book report, Chrissy.
I can see all the diagrams that Rumpus draws now. Yeah.
We haven't had a good diagram for a few days. We got to get some diagrams going. Good point. And let's see who else we got. Cleary, what's up, Cleary?
Oh, doing good, man. I'm here. I'm just hoping some of these globe heads can explain these spherical squares to us. They've been talking about over there in your chat, general chat.
Spherical squares.
Yeah,
that's what they say.
Okay. Yeah. Hopefully we can get into that. I'd love to hear that one explained.
Yeah, me too.
Hey, we got Travis. His ether bandiness. What's up, Travis?
Hello. What ho?
You put out a new video. Did you end up putting that out, or did you hold off?
It's processing right now. I might put it out after the show, like maybe around 8:30. But you know,
okay.
anything put putting out can always be replayed. It would be greatly appreciated just to have that stuff continually exposing.
Yeah, I hear
Exposing that there are no Fata Morganas on flat Earth. I was just thinking through it right now. Cleary helped out with refining. I still haven't memorized it yet, Cleary, but talked to Bev earlier today, and instead of saying that the Mirage is not a 90-degree image, Bev said, you mean vertical. Okay, so yeah, great. So the Mirage is not a vertical image, but what that means then is that I think that when you have a Fata Morgana, which is basically a 3-image mirage, okay, because the inferior mirage is inverted upside down underneath the physical image. A superior mirage is the inversion above the physical, but the Fata Morgana sometimes has 2 or 3 images where you have the inversion, a reversion, and then an inversion. What that means in my mind is that you have more distance in the mirage covered, so that it's almost like seeing a shadow longer. You know what I mean? So part of the trick is it went last week when I was showing the Pontchartrain skyline with the New Orleans and the tallest building. You only got a very small portion of the mirage. You didn't see the entire image upside down. Well, what it means then, in my opinion, if you've got 3 images upside down, then that means you've got a massive distance extending in the mirage so that you have enough space to have 3 images inverted upside down, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, you got to have special atmospheric conditions to get a Fata Morgana, and it does not last for long because that image object is being reflected down and then it's being flipped up for your eye, so you don't see
Well, I
those
mean,
very often.
it's interesting. Who was it? Heath Carmody put out a recent video where he pulled up a definition of an inferior mirage that says that the mirage is unstable. And they never tell you what that means. But then he goes to one of his videos where he shows the stability of the inferior mirage for a really long time. He's like, it looks pretty stable to me. So
Yeah, because the weather, was stable. It's just that 3D horizontal density band that works into the depth axis. As you're looking out, it can be small, it can be tall, it can be different depending on your evaporation rate and temperature.
Well, just to wrap it up real quick, I've only caught the Fata Morgana once on the Channel Islands, and it lasted for quite a while. I had over a half an hour of shooting it, so I don't know what to tell you about being unstable. But again, I think that the field is wide open for this thing to be redressed and revised.
Well, I'd love to see an example of one of these and hear an explanation for how the fuck it looks like that, how it doubles over. But
want me to later? I'll work on getting something pulled up, and then later on tonight.
Have you guys seen Bev's sunset with the Fata Morgana?
Yeah, of course. Seen Bev's son's sunset footage you're talking about, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I stand corrected.
Yep.
Everybody should go back and watch.
Yeah, that's a good video. All right, let me finish saying hello to everybody. Illegal. What's up, Illegal?
What up?
What up? How you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm good.
Good, man. All right. Jim,
just listening for right now.
Yeah, no problem. Jimbo.
Hey, alive and kicking.
Hey, how are sales of your flashlight going these days?
Still 159 and tax, and like I say, someone going to be like Morse coding people 20 miles away with the thing.
Yeah, so if anybody has a need for that, to do Morse code over long distances, Jimbo's your man. Touch up with Jimbo. He'll get you set up. Sweet flashlight.
25 mile, you'll see this light. Handheld flashlight. Handheld searchlight.
What if you shine it in your eyes? You go blind?
It's also technically a weapon.
Yeah. So I guess you would go blind if you looked at it.
Awesome.
Oh, it burns. It'll burn your. You know, if you shine it on the ground on a sunny day, it overpowers the sun. It's brighter than the sun.
It's a lightsaber.
It's a hot item.
It is a lightsaber terrible.
Oh shit! Here they go with their French again. All right, Paige, what's up, Paige?
G'day, Brandon.
You
How
found the
doing?
right time tonight, huh?
Yeah, this morning. Yeah.
Oh, this morning.
It does feel a bit weird this early in the morning talking to you guys. It's usually at least another hour and a half or so my time before I start worrying about coming and listening.
Yeah, I can imagine. Threw y'all off, huh?
Yeah, everything's all weird. It's going to take about another 2 weeks before we can get everything back the way it was before.
Oh, yeah. Stupid. Rob, what's up, Rob?
I think you should post Beb's video in the chat.
Feel free to post the link there, buddy. We got Jeremy.
Rob,
What's up, Jeremy?
Oh, there. Sorry.
Jeremy? He must be working. Bob Dole.
What's up? What's up?
Hello.
Huh. All right. Well, that was our extended introductions there for the evening. So what's going on, guys? Before I get into what I have to show you, any big news, any big topics you guys wanted to talk about?
Did you miss Bob?
No, Bob said hello.
Oh, and I know he said hello, but I didn't hear you say hello to him, so I want to make sure.
No, I did. I said hello to Bob.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. I apologize.
That's okay. So what's going on, guys? Anything crazy happening?
Can I just say that we've been in the text chat with all of the your boys,
Mm-hmm.
that, and they can come in at any point that they want and come and talk about any of the geometry that they're doing. I'm saying that I don't think there are any globe geometers or geometers at all, because they can't talk about it. They just sit in the text chat. So anytime any of them are ready to come out and have a chat about it, we can.
Come on, WS. I know you talk over there on Jose. Just come in and talk.
Yeah, very few of them come in here on a typically. There's only a couple of our dedicated text trolls.
Resident.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're on a mission to find the globe geometers, right? The ones that actually know the geometry of their model. Like, because we all know, we all like to think we know geometry about squares and circles and all of that sort of stuff, but there's a different geometry on their model, which they don't seem to realize.
Mm-hmm.
They like to talk a load of stuff in the chat and all of that, but I mean, there are a few very crucial differences between the geometry that we use in reality and the geometry that occurs on the surface of a sphere.
Yeah, Euclidean 3 space would not even work on the surface of a sphere.
Yeah.
So what is the point of contention that you guys are going back and forth on tonight?
Well, it's the square, right? I posed a question a bit earlier on, that is it possible to have a square on the surface of a sphere?
Yeah, I've had them tell me before you can draw a line and then make a right angle, draw a line, make a right angle, and you're back where you started from. How does that work? Can you draw a square?
Yeah, is it possible? But I mean, like, there's a couple of different differences, right? That they like to play bait and switch. So when we say this to make it clear that Euclidean geometry is the geometry of reality, like it's on a plane, surfaces, triangles can be led down or they can be stood up, and they always work. They always have 180 degrees, all of that sort of stuff that everyone
3D.
knows.
Yeah.
In 3D reality. the surface of the geometry that they use, spherical geometry, is different. It's a non-Euclidean geometry, and it is the geometry of the two-dimensional surface of a sphere. So there's no three-dimensional things on the surface of a sphere in spherical geometry. It's just two-dimensional.
No elevation. No
and
elevation
you have
at
to
all.
also take into effect that a surface of a sphere can be two-dimensional.
No.
Which is it. Think about it for a second, and then ask
I've
yourself.
thought about it long and hard.
Then ask yourself: can you have a square in spherical geometry? Is there such a thing? Like there are answers to these questions, but only a globe geometer should be able to answer this.
Well, if there are any globe geometers or anybody that thinks of themselves as geometer out there, hop on in, have a discussion, and figure out what this is all about. A square on the surface of a sphere. Okay.
I've been at war with these guys talking about the surface of a sphere being 2D.
Yeah, I ask them, what is the shape of the surface of a sphere? And they say spherical. And I say, thank you. We're done. We're done here.
Not 2D anymore. Yeah, you got 3 dimensions up, you know.
Yeah, it leaves them a bit of a paradox because a sphere in Euclidean geometry is a 3-dimensional shape. Whereas
it's the
geometry that they use is a 2-dimensional surface of the sphere. There's no above the surface and there's no below the surface.
What are
the sphere itself?
Sorry, what are the Masons talking about when they talk about squaring a circle? Or is that unrelated?
It's an impossible task.
The Masons don't talk about that.
Yeah.
That's not a Masonic thing, squaring the circle?
No, it's an impossible mathematical thing.
No, but I think that is a Mason thing. I'm pretty sure they do talk about it, but actually being able to square a circle, I think that was something a lot of people were trying to do for a very long time. It's not possible, right?
Well, yeah, I guess you're right about that, Brandon. Maybe they did talk about that, but that's not something they believe can be done.
Yeah. It was with using a compass only. Compass and straight edge, the Euclidean tools, is to be able to make a square of the same area as a circle. It is impossible to do. But I think what they do with the Masons is that do they not have a saying where they meet upon something?
They meet on the level and they part on the square.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. They're obsessed with geometry and that stuff. So I'm just bringing up Wikipedia. It says squaring the circle, the area of this square and this circle are both equal to pi. In 1882, it was proven that this figure cannot be constructed in a finite number of steps with an idealized compass and straight edge. So that's what that's all about.
Yep.
And for some reason, they were some people were very obsessed with being able to do this. I don't know if it was just
trisecting an angle as well was another one that they do. I think it was just a game, right? To say that they obviously couldn't do it, but the reason that they said that they proved you couldn't do it in 18 something is, I don't know. That's a bit suspicious, right? Why would they be the only ones that could prove that they couldn't do it?
It's like any other thought experiment, right? Like Brian Lee went out today. Bob was talking about. Imagine if you were in space. Imagine something else. I didn't listen to the whole thing, but anyway.
Yeah, trisecting an angle. I used to try to do that when I was in school, in geometry class, and the teacher said it's impossible to trisect an angle. I'm like, well, I got to figure out how to fucking do this now. He says it's impossible, and
you can with folding the paper, but that's cheating.
Right. That and perpetual motion machines, building a perpetual motion machine, right, Jeremy? Still working on that one.
No, I have an idea for a perpetual motion machine right now.
Let's hear it.
It's got to do with magnets and tracks, and it pushes the magnet uphill. And then
Yeah, I think Rumpus's mouth is a perpetual motion. Sorry, go ahead.
Or we can use Rumpus's mouth. True.
It doesn't count because it drains and feeds off the energy of others, so that wouldn't count.
It eats souls.
Exactly.
Your soul.
Yeah, it eats souls. Yeah. So
It's an over unity machine, not perpetual motion.
well, I guess I kind of thought lumped them in together in my brain, but one or the other.
Something that creates enough power to run itself, plus to generate other power.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's a perpetual motion machine. I think has to be an over unity device, right?
Yeah,
that's how I remember it. I have spent way too many hours and days trying to think about how to create a perpetual motion machine. I don't know why, but it's just one of those things that I sit around and think about sometimes when I'm really bored.
Listen, every time you see the magnets on YouTube, they're always trying to go around in a circle. You got to break the loop. And that's what my idea does, because I got it going up and down hills and shit using gravity, space-time bending.
Well, that's what I always thought too. I was like, why can't you just angle a bunch of magnets the right way? And the magnets are always pushing the ball around.
There's a sticky point that they have to overcome.
What sticking? What do you mean by sticky point?
Well, a magnet can either attract or repel, can't it?
Yeah.
And the problem is, from that attracting to the repelling, you get this sticky point where it wants to, join the other magnet. But they have shielded it with what I've seen. They used like penned AA batteries to shield the sticky point.
Yeah,
it has been achieved.
Oh, it has been achieved.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Where?
You just have to shield it.
Let's see it.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me have a
Yeah, over Unity device, break yourself off with some shit.
It shows that shit. I'll be setting them up tonight. Run my house over it. Tomorrow, you
my
guys will.
electric bill's off the hook, bro.
Right. Probably fucking electrocute myself trying to hook it up to the power grid. You guys will see my obituary in the paper tomorrow.
It's for a good cause.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, so seriously, if there's any baller out there who wants to try to or thinks they can set Bev straight on this geometry thing, come on in. Not sure.
Howard in the chat has said we're obsessed with geometry ? Did Brandon just say that? So did you say that Howard was obsessed with geometry?
Masons are.
I don't think so.
Oh,
are you a Mason?
Oh, he's not saying he's a. Oh, I don't know.
Who said were? Howard said
Howard. Yeah, Howard says. Did you say that he was like him and Weir, his group, are obsessed with geometry?
The Masons? Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, Howard might be if you're a Mason, then Howard, then Brandon did say that Masons seem to be obsessed with geometry.
Yeah, and I guess you could interpret the word obsessed in different ways. I didn't mean it as an insult.
Yeah.
But
I don't mind it. I'm obsessed with it too. I would have to say.
I am too.
I'm not a Mason though. I would have to say that.
I can't answer either way.
All right. Well, we're waiting to see if anybody hops in. Let me show you. Let's take a look at some NASA fakery from Mr. Ebon Kim. I'll share my screen. This was a pretty interesting
I saw him
catch.
come back again this morning. Was it this morning?
Oh, who's that? Sorry.
Yeah, Ebon. He's not been around for a bit.
Oh, he was here yesterday, I believe.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, but before that, I think he was having trouble because he often posts things that are frowned upon by the establishment, so he's gotten a lot of strikes and bans and all that kind of stuff. But just for the record, his name is Ebon, not Ebon.
Ebon. Okay.
Ether band.
All right, I got 8 things, guys. Y'all ready? No, I'm
8.
Hey, what's up,
8.
Brian?
Oh my god, this is gonna be a while.
Dude, that's a hell of a. I want to comment first, man, by saying.
I got a
Well, you know what?
I got a
will say
question
first on
topic
line,
too.
I had to pull it out of the water, man. I'm pissed off. I couldn't get the help, and I can't do it at a dead low tide, which is one of the still tides during the day.
Oh wait, hold on,
Because
Brian.
it's too low.
Hold on, Brian. What are you talking about? Because some people may not know. You're talking about your line that you had in
All right,
the.
I tried the preliminary. Yeah, I tried a preliminary stretch the line to see if it was feasible to go over a mile, and it was looking okay. Except I have to wait until I gotta find a time.
How did
Really,
you,
I gotta find a spot to stretch a line in the water, but I need calm water. And the spot I picked, it was not feasible, man, because
How
well,
did
it
you,
might have been,
calculate the
but I
sag,
left the water
Brian?
in the line and stretched it, and then I had to wait and leave it there, and then shit started growing on the line just within a couple of days, and I went all the way down the 1 mile line cleaning the shit off that was growing on it, and by that time it was low tide. It's just a big giant frustration, man. Anybody who goes to try this, which I still have the line, I pulled it out of the water, but they need to carefully choose where they do this. I still think it's feasible before we try anything
Hey Brian,
over
can you hear
over a
me
mile.
real quick? Brian, can
Go
you hear
ahead.
me real quick?
Yeah.
How did you
Yeah.
calculate the sag for a fishing line over a mile?
I did not. And I want to see what the line does over a mile before we go to 3 miles, to see. And then I wanted to try some things with some floats and all that just to try and construct a test, man. I'm tired of the.
Brian, I got a question for you.
I like what Bev is doing, man. And out there, I've seen his videos out there surveying and all that stuff, man, and not seeming to get across to a lot of people. So
Wait
I
till
just
you
trying
see the
different
new
things
stuff.
to get out there and actually do something, man. And it's real frustrating, man. Be very careful the spots you select, man. My first choice is a bus, man. It's a bus. The test itself isn't the preliminary, but
What happened when you
dig a
pulled on
trench.
the line, Brian? When you finally got around to pulling on the line, what happened?
I didn't have enough help, man. Okay, so I got it down on one side, right?
Yeah.
Okay, it wasn't deep enough. I'm down on one side, so I go over and I put it 1 inch below the water, right? Okay, and now on the other side, it's down still under the tide, right? And so by the time I get all the way over there to try and raise it up, it's stuck down on the other side. I need 2 people to tighten it and me in the middle to get it even up out of off the bottom itself, because the bottom was only a few feet deep. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
I'm
Listen,
picturing you running around back and forth on this line in fast
be
motion with some
picturing right,
circus
dude.
music playing in the background, Brian. That's what I'm picturing right now.
I told you to dig a trench, bro. You got to
not
dig a
hear me.
trench.
Oh my God.
Stop being lazy.
Okay, can you guys
I'm
hear me?
everything but lazy, bro. But yeah, I got to find a better spot, man. It can't be tidal like that, or if it is, it's got to be deeper, and
Hey,
then
Brian.
time would be of the essence, man.
So,
So it's a
Brian, you know
bust,
what
man. But I'm
Travis,
not
go
giving
ahead.
up completely. But I'm fucking pissed off,
Oh,
man. To
shit.
be honest.
Hey, you learned something, That's cool. I had a
All right.
feeling that's what was going to happen. Oh, go ahead.
Listen very carefully, everybody. Please, please. This is
I want to
exactly
make a quick comment.
what the. This is exactly what I'm doing with my GoFundMe. Brian, let me ask you a question. Why is it taking you so long to do this, bro?
Because I can't do it by myself, man.
Okay, great. How much time would you need to do this? Like tell us all, like if you had a point by point outline on a piece of paper of like what your day would look like, how much time would you need to do this?
More than I have to give, man. More than I have to give, brother.
No,
It
bro.
would- It'd take a day, man. It'd take a full day with about 5 people, or it'd be better if I had about 8 people.
8. Okay. So how much money do you make a day?
I don't know.
I could save you a lot of trouble.
Easy.
Couple hundred, maybe.
I could save you a lot of trouble real quick if I just say one quick comment right here. The horizontal water level is based upon equal atmospheric pressure all across the surface. So as long as you got that, the water is horizontal based on hydrostatic. You don't even need to go and pull a fish in, because that water level is horizontal based on science.
Yeah, we're still gonna do it though.
My point is,
Yeah.
listen, my point is that we as a community, everybody who's listening to this show right now, can get Brian out on the water without having to worry about losing any money for the day. We can give him $300, and if he's got either, I don't know if he can get volunteers or if we pay for them too. Okay, this is what it's going to take. This is
If
why
I had $500, man, if I had $500, I could do it.
$500.
Yep, I could do it. That'd give me a few days just in case.
All right. Well, I'm going to put a GoFundMe together for you, man.
That'd be great. I'll give you my word. If we pull that together, I will get results, whatever they may be.
Listen, I am let's see if I can do this. I list my books that I am no longer using because they're all theological and history and philosophy and all this stuff. So I'm listing books all the time, selling books all the time. I will donate the sales of my books until we get to 500. Okay.
Damn,
that is great, man. But I want to pitch in on your test, man. I think, to be honest, I think yours is more important, Travis. To everybody who's out there listening, man, like what we're trying to do, what I'm trying to do is something to see, but what Travis is trying to do is put together a paper, man. I think it's very, very important. So anybody who can put in $5, man, $10, 20 if you got it, just pitch in every chance you get. Throw a couple bucks in, everybody, and that's very, very important what he's doing, man. And I do appreciate the a GoFundMe for my cause, but don't forget Travis's cause, man. Everybody go check out his channel and the GoFundMe. This ain't just giving somebody money. This is you get something back for this. Okay, you're gonna get studies, you're gonna get evidences, and the things we're trying to do, the things we talk about. Here's our chance to put it in writing, to put it on video, to put somebody out there on the horizon. But it costs money, guys. It doesn't cost a lot if we all pitch in together, man. But let's do it, man. Everybody just dig deep, couple fucking dollars, something, man. Come on, do it.
All right. Anyway, so Brian, so you're out there, you're on the water, you're having trouble. You said stuff was growing on the line after one day?
Yeah, the stuff where it was hitting the bottom, because it is not a flat bottom, okay? For one. Okay, at high tide, there's a couple spots that are only a couple foot deep, okay? I wasn't 100% aware of that. I might not have chose that spot, but I did find a spot that I threaded the needle and got a straight mile, but it wasn't deep enough even at high tide, okay? Now, the problem is when it's not high tide, there's current. When it's not a dead low tide, there's current. Dead low is feasible because there's stuff sticking up. So now I need a dead high tide, but that means I got to have people on each side lifting it up off the ground or tightening it to begin with, and somebody in the middle, preferably a couple people in the middle, while they tighten it up to raise it up, because you wouldn't believe how far it tightened. Like you just start pulling and pulling and pulling and pulling, and next thing you know, you done pulled 50, 60 feet and it ain't done shit. You're still just pulling and to tighten it up, man. So then if there's something on the bottom where it hung on to, where the current pulled it out, then you got to go out to that spot and free it up like it's caught on a little barnacle or something. You got to go to that spot and free it up right there, and by that time you're running out of time of your still tied, because
bro, you
the
gotta
spot
dig
that I
a
picked
ditch, bro.
was tidal.
Brian, you
Point
gotta
is, it was
dig a ditch, bro.
I knew it would be hard, man, but yeah, if you could dig a ditch, if you had a property big enough to do that, but a canal would be perfect, man. If I was to get the money put together, I would go to a spot with a canal, or I did find a spot way, way, way inland, by the intercoastal, that would be feasible. That I would have to rent a little boat. I would be more than happy to do that. It has a few miles, but it is tougher than you think. But I'm gonna tell you right now, it is not impossible, guys. It's not impossible, but I did pull, when we pulled it tight from one side and had it up, it did go a long way out of the water, man. I will admit it was like a long way. I didn't measure it, but I'm like, man, that right there is showing me that the SAG calculator ain't 100% accurate. I'm not sure how it works, but because it's just forever out of the water when I'm sitting there pulling it up in the middle, pulling it tight.
Yeah.
It's like from I'm not quite halfway, but I'm pulling to the other pole, and it's up out of the water like a third of a mile almost, man. And I'm only like 4 or 5 foot high where I'm pulling it, man. But you know, I can't make any definite claims, man. It just seems worth doing, but the spot is crucial.
How much
crucial.
sag was there calculated to be? I can't remember what we came up with that day.
Oh, it was 8 meters, 8.5 meters, 8 1/3 or 8.5 meters over a mile. But he said, I'll give Rumpus this too. He did say that doesn't include how much it shrinks from tightening it, and it does. It's way less than 8 meters. I promise you that. But I don't know what it is, and that's in the air now. Take it, that is in the air, but it does tighten up a lot. I mean, you start tightening it, and you just pulling in slack, pulling in slack, pulling in slack. So he did use that as a variable. So in his behalf, I will say that doesn't count the shrinking of it from the elasticity. But you know, I couldn't get a definite measure. It is a long ass way, an actual mile over the water. And I think you need a few people to tighten it up to begin with. You see what I'm saying? To get it tight to begin with.
Sure.
What does Rumpus know about sag, dude? What does he know
Shit,
about that?
he don't know shit, man. But I did want to hear what the sag calculator had to say. That's where I included him.
That was one of the things
I
that we
know
were
I could
trying
prove
to,
that wrong.
to
Just nothing
debunk
else.
or compare to was what the sag calculator came up with compared to what Brian got in reality. Because we suspect that those calculators are bullshit because it's a really simple calculation.
And let me say one other thing, man. The line that I used, the 120-pound test, it did have way more tension than the 30-pound that I used in my video where I went you know, about 500 feet.
Yeah.
It pulled right up out of the water. The 120-pound, it takes longer to pull up out of the water. When you tighten it and you're sitting there waiting for it to catch up and come up, it does take a while.
Is it stretching?
And you got to pull it
Is that what's
tighter,
going on?
obviously, but there's way more tension. There's way more tension, water, like surface tension in water on the 120-pound test. Way more, dude. I see what
You gotta get a
Ranty
winch.
meant when he said he had to really pull hard to get it up out of the water. Because with the 120-pound test, I did really have to pull hard. But
You gotta
on the
get a
same
winch
token,
and
it tightens up a lot more, you know?
Sure.
You got to get a winch and a scale, bro. So that way you
Well,
don't have no problems pulling it, and you know how much
I never
weight
made
you're
it to
putting
that
on the
point,
line.
man. Like I said, to even get it tight over a mile, you can't just have a pole that tied off to a pole on one side, man. Because
Why?
you got to get it up off the ground, you got to tighten the shit out of it, man. And in the
Yeah, that's
meanwhile,
what-
it's just
that's
sitting
what
on the
winches
ground on
do.
the other side, right?
That's what winches do. They tighten it up.
Yeah, but you're missing my point. Okay, I could tighten it up, but if it's caught on the bottom, okay, from where the current took it, you know, and then you got to go unhook that spot. You know what I'm saying?
Bro, that's why you got
gotta
to do
go
this
out.
in a ditch.
Oh yeah. It'd be a lot easier in a canal, you know, or a ditch if you had the time to dig a mile ditch.
Or you
It
can
would
do that
be.
shit in like 20 minutes.
Where? Okay, look, Jeremy. Where are you going to get a mile-long open land where no one's going to write a ticket for you digging a trench, bro?
On an
Good
abandoned
point.
Hey
railroad.
Brian, listen, you're gonna get a text real quick, and I'm setting up the account right now. So if you want to
That's
just
awesome,
communicate
brother.
with me on phone, watch your phone for a text real quick.
Well,
If you have any abandoned railways around, it's a nice area, pretty flat area you can work with. Whatever.
My
you're
point
doing.
is if we do this thing, okay, and let's say it. Okay, I just got a text. I'm gonna check it in a second, but let me say this. Okay, so if we do get some sag in the middle, more than we had predicted, but less than the sag calculator, like way less than the sag calculator, then I mean it's not beyond me. I mean, to me, if we start putting floats every certain distance, you know, and then even have it where even if it was something balloons, even pulling it up and where you have to tighten it to pull it down. To me, we could get calculations and and measurements of the forces it takes. You know, it just seems like, man, I just want to see it with my own two eyes, man. So I'm willing to try all kinds of shit, you know, and I like to see things myself. So I'm the type of guy to go out and actually do it, man. But it's trial and error, right? So that's where I'm at right now. I'm in the middle of trying it, and I've learned some shit, and I'm on to the next stage, right? I'm gonna check
Yeah,
that.
so just real quick with what Cleary said, what Cleary said about the hydrostatics is absolutely true, right? We could just do this with a water level, but there's verification and validation with supplemental evidence. So I only see this as another way of crossing T's and dotting I's.
Well, think about a
Yeah,
canal.
I agree with Cleary. I agree with Cleary also.
Just real quick, a
Can I chime
canal
in
is
here,
horizontal
guys?
water. Yeah, I'll be done, and you can go right after this. The horizontal water, right? In a canal, it doesn't flow. A river flows. So if you survey next to a river, you're going to see it drop. That water will flow downhill. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, any
You'll
river
never-
is going to have an elevation drop.
You're never going to pull fishing line tight enough, so ignore that.
Oh, hey,
Just
Dan.
don't even think about it.
I agree, man.
Yeah,
I agree, but
I totally
I
agree.
agree, but in the
Yeah.
water, you know, we want to see what it does in the water, man, over a mile and stuff, because it went way further than we thought on the land. It went way further.
Buoys. We're thinking buoys at this point. So you
Yeah,
can,
buoys, you know, floats, you know, I'll try all kinds of shit, man. But I just want to see let's see what a straight line actually is. Here's an idea I have for pulling this. Okay, if they hadn't said that it was that 10 miles was only a few feet, but if you think about it, if we were to stretch a line, okay, let's say we had 3 fishing lines that are 10 miles each, okay, and I know this is sounds like something impossible, but let's just say we assume that the water was curved, okay, so we assume that water is curved, and then we do a flat line over the water with just a bunch of things holding it up, you know, a bunch of stakes holding it up, and we simulate a straight line over the water. Then we simulate a concave line over that. So if we go, let's just say 5 miles, then it drops down. Instead of doing the sagittary or the chord, let's just do the one-sided drop. Okay, so we run a line over the water, and it is just floating on the water basically, but we have it pinned off, and then we assume that is curving. Okay, we'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Then we run a line that at the end of 5 miles, it is about whatever it is, like
5
let's say
miles long.
let's say it's 18 feet. Okay, at the end it's 18 feet over the water, and we have it staked off, and we have a set line. Then we do a line that is concave, like it's curving opposite the water. So assuming the water is the curve downward, then the one that's 18 feet above the water at the end, and then the one that winds up being 36 feet above the water, it would be the concave line. It seems like you could do some measurements, but it seems like it would become apparent. I'm just trying to find ways to prove this.
Keep thinking, Brian. I mean, you're full of ideas, but let's hear what Dan the Waterman has to say, because it sounded like he was speaking, or Dan, that you were speaking from experience.
Hey,
You've tried some of this stuff before and failed, or what?
Fully. I mean, the line's never going to work. You can't pull it taut. Be real. You can't use something that flexible.
Yeah. Hey, Brian, real quick.
If they want,
thought he was done. Go ahead.
I'm just saying, if they want to continue to deny lasers as being capable of line of sight, I don't know what the hell to say, but I did think of something as you were talking, Brian, is, you know, these lasers they use to set the ceiling tiles? This is the rotating one.
Laser levels.
They spin a laser in the middle of a room on a ladder at 12 feet.
Yeah.
And then you could establish your drop ceiling height, and you could tack the stuff in evenly across with no measurements, because you could do it from the ladder in the middle of the, let's say, a supermarket or something.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice
Indoors,
to float.
yeah.
It'd be nice to float out into the middle of a lake, a rotating laser, and see if it hits the shore evenly everywhere.
Yeah, it wouldn't work.
Yeah, but they're just gonna
lasers
say
are
it's
rubbish over water, right? You can't
Yeah.
use a laser over water.
Why?
Yeah, Bev, I was trying to tell them real quick, you know, the Midwest calculator is based on 8 inches per mile drop, right? A big scale. Everybody's thinking big mile, all that. But we determined that within 400 meters of a water level, RUHIF gave us numbers for the drop. You only have to go 400 meters to have a measurable difference. What's the drop RUHIF gave us at 400 meters? Something like
The hump, the sagittar of the 400 is at 200 meters is 3.1 millimeters.
Yeah, that's measurable at 200 meters. You should see that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah.
Dude, with 30-pound tests over the air, I got 3 inches of drop without even pulling it tight. So that sounds maybe a little more feasible of doing.
Yeah, you get some water levels, you know, do whatever else you want to do. Draw up, you know, pull a fishing line a couple 100 meters if you can. I don't know. But a water level, you know, based on what the globe heads gave us, the numbers, man, you should be able to tell whether hydrostatic equilibrium, like science says, causes that water to be horizontal, or some other magical force makes it bend. Something that no one's aware of.
In the main chat, in general chat there, get yourself a copy. They're all Ruhif's numbers, whatever. Brad the Science Guy. I think Puppy Lover helped. Quite a few of these globe. They're good at using the calculator anyway. They're just calculations. But these are the drop numbers for every 100 meters along Slice Barcanes. 16 times 100 meter water levels. And the individual drop for each 100 meters, starting
Here's
with the
my
gold
point, though,
ones at the
Bev.
top there. That's Ruhif's numbers, the first 5.
Yeah, the yellow
My
one.
point is this, man, real quick, and I'll end it with this. I got to make that line. This line sunk a little bit too fast, okay? The line that I have that I don't have enough length of, it floats a little bit. My goal is to get the line as neutrally buoyant as possible, where it doesn't sink hardly, it doesn't float hardly, it just does whatever you do, or even using floats and sinks, whatever I have to do to get the line as neutrally buoyant as possible, and then pull and then snap it tight and see where that force takes it once it's tight beyond breaking, So I'm not giving up, man. I don't care. I'm definitely not giving up. And there's a few other ideas I have with this idea. So it's worth a try. Fun to see.
Who's telling me lasers won't work over water and why?
There's diffraction. I can show you a physics video if you want.
Well, I mean, I've done it in different locations at different temperatures, and if you get an even temperature across the air and the water, there's nothing to cause an issue.
We were talking to a group of surveyors, and for one of their contracts, they had a crew, and they insisted on them using lasers. They didn't want to use lasers because it was over water, but they insisted that they did use laser levels to do it. And they had a nightmare doing it. They said that they would never use lasers over water for that reason, because of the puts
in
too
real
much
life
wobble into it.
In real life experience myself, when we went to go do examples, let's say for French TV, we went to the Salton Sea. It took 7 hours till the conditions would give us clear view. In other words, you're going to have a couple of times in the day. You're going to have a couple of times in the day with different conditions. So
Yeah,
if they,
what are you doing though?
Both mirrors during the day and lasers by night.
So you're not actually like surveying.
Well, it doesn't actually always work because you.
But that's what we're talking about here. When we say you can't really use it.
You're saying it's a. But you're calling it impossible, and I'm saying it's a matter of timing.
No,
it's about.
I didn't say impossible, did I? You're putting words in my mouth.
No,
Please don't do that.
I was discounted quite quickly. Said, yeah, lasers don't work over water. That's why I'm asking you.
Okay, well, can I clarify now then? Yeah, I was talking about like for professional reasons, for using them for measuring things, right? You don't use a laser. You would use an optical level, an auto level specifically, but they weren't allowed to use that. The group of people that we were talking to. Now this is just surveyors in our conversations that we've had with all different sorts of surveyors over the different years that we've been talking to them about this, right? That's just an example of what I've ever heard, right? All of the other surveyors would say, no, they just wouldn't use lasers for that sort of thing. I mean, what sort of distance are you talking about? You using these lasers over from the middle of
10 miles, 9
but far too far for a laser for surveying purposes, or are you just talking about shining?
We're not exactly surveying. We're establishing line of sight. So it doesn't include numbers when you're using just the optical relationship between your laser line and the water line.
Okay, well see when we were talking about laser levels, because you were talking specifically about laser level.
I was trying to
get a laser level on a ladder in the middle of a field, to go 10 miles because that's not what they do. Laser levels like that don't work over that sort of range.
No one's talking about laser levels. I think what you've done, Dan, is just the typical laser experiment over water. Shine it, see if somebody on the other side can see the laser. Correct?
Yeah, but I was trying to help Brian out because he's trying to show something in relation to what the established water line is. He wants to show that there's another line, that there are two straight
Well,
lines.
even if the line is supported, we have yet to see a straight damn line, a provable straight line besides optically. I want to show what a straight line is supposed to look like on a globe and the absurdity of it, or the feasibility of it, which I think the sooner the absurdity. It just I don't know, man. It just seems like there's so much we could do, and talking about it's the first step, man. But lasers, they're not accepting that, and I'm not sure. I even accept it 100%. I mean, I accept it. I accept it before I accept the premise, that the water's not curving, but they don't.
But there's a crappy reason why lasers aren't accepted. Primarily, it makes for shitty video, and you can't get reference points. So because we can't portray it well enough is why lasers aren't accepted, not because it's not good proof.
Well, I've seen some of these laser videos. They're very compelling to me, like the one that Conspiracy, what's his name? Taboo Conspiracy did, and the one that was done up on the Flat Lake. The one that you did was compelling too, that you showed on Jose's that one day. I've seen 4 or 5 of these, and I just think, so you're telling me every single time they're shining this flat laser across this 10 to 20 miles, that fucker is bending just at the same rate as the surface of the earth, and that's why we're seeing it? I mean, how many of these you got to do before you go, yeah, it's probably flat. We're probably just seeing the laser,
Refraction, bro.
Yeah, refraction, of course.
Refraction has limits. You can't just say the word. It's like saying, it's generally within the range of the width of the beam. In other words, refraction can't travel out of the width of the beam. Essentially, it's sectioned based on its source. The refraction, it's not a consistent thing either. I mean, you guys got to understand that refraction. My argument in Jose's channel was over the word average refraction, because average says that there's both a major version and a minor version.
Yeah.
In other words, there's zero refraction and there's complete, what at that time I called whiteout, and stupid Huffington, what's his name?
We like to call it greater than infinite refraction around here.
Oh shit. There's definitely yeah. Infinite, what is it? A straight line has infinite curvature?
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. Infinitely little curvature. That's a straight line.
Yeah, that's how you know if your line's straight, if it has infinite curvature. the only way to tell, really.
Oh shit. Oh, you got the video here? I'll bring it up for the audience.
I mean, you could.
No, go ahead.
There's not much.
I was going to say, you can get something horizontal locally, but it's only over the course of infinity. So, take that into consideration.
Good point. A lot of people forget that, Jeremy.
Yeah, I mean, you got to know these things.
Hey, I'm surprised there's no ballers to take on the straight line thing.
Montreal.
I can't pause the video. What are you showing here, though, Dan? In this laser video you posted?
Just playing with lasers and blowing smoke into them. It's kind of cool. It just looks cool.
There.
And knowing that people on the other side at the same height are seeing these lasers, it's not proven here. This stuff's going to be in Shelley's movie when it comes out. So this is just me with my phone.
All we need is one more laser test. One more laser test, and we'll have this shit in the bag, guys.
Yeah, see,
Wish it was that
Dan, I don't know how much you listen, but one thing we've been trying to do is take light refraction completely out of the equation and come up with some kind of experiment to physically measure the curvature or lack of curvature to show the shape of the Earth.
Yeah, I'm just lucky with the Salton Sea. We've got conditions where we got the water and the air the same temperature, so we
Yeah,
don't
but
have the
again, I would
inversion
say
problem.
just the same thing I said before. The more demonstrations that we can get, it's not just going to be a one-hit wonder.
How many laser tests you think, Travis?
It's not about
20?
how many. Okay, listen real quick. So let's just do 3 things. Okay, let's do a laser test. Let's do Brian's underwater force the line test, and let's do my paper. Okay, because all 3 of those things deal with different aspects of demonstrating that there's no curve. It doesn't have to do with not being able to measure. You just have to simply demonstrate there ain't none.
Well, we haven't been able to find any curvature, so there's that. And these laser tests.
What about all the spherical? What about all the spherical squares out there, though?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a new one for me.
Squircles. Come on.
Square.
Squircle.
They're all over the place, man. You can't. I mean, the shit is obvious.
They don't know what a straight line is, bro. You got guys in the chat like WS. They're arguing what a straight line is.
It's ridiculous, isn't it?
Absolutely ridiculous. Hey, WS,
And
come on
he's
the
saying
chat,
that
bro.
I'm running away from a
WS is
discussion
not
when I'm
gonna
saying
show
to him he must come and talk. He must prove to us that he is actually interested in having a discussion with us. But the reason he won't come and talk is because he'll sound like Rumpus did the other day when he got a dry mouth and started coughing and, stuttering all over his words because he's nervous and he's scared. That's why he won't come and talk. But he says, I'm running away because I won't answer him in chat. No, I won't answer you in chat because you need to prove you're here honestly trying to learn things. Otherwise,
WS
just
is
get
Brandon.
fucked.
WS is Brandon's #1 mod.
I think they know the writing's on the wall. I really do.
Yeah, I really think that too. Honestly, with the way they're really starting to fumble and be really, you can hear it in their voice when they, you listen to any flat earther, they'll talk with confidence and, explain things really well, simply, concisely, to the point. They stumble and stutter and faff around and talk about shit that doesn't matter and anything to avoid the point.
I've got a bit of a suggestion as a test.
Let's hear it.
You want to hear it?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Oh, fuck yeah, bro.
What I was thinking was make a floating platform, something like this insulation foam that you do in walls, probably 6 inches wide. Make a floating platform. Put a laser on it. It doesn't particularly have to all be trued up because we're not measuring a point. We're measuring a deviation. Put a laser on it. Try and get it as flat as we can to the surface of the platform. And put a board in the shoreline so it's pointing at a point on the board when it is on the water. And have it pointing backwards. Have the laser pointing backwards towards the shore. Then take it out for a mile. Now, if it's gone over a curve, would that laser pointer be higher than what it was when it was next to it?
Yeah, it could be anywhere it wants because of refraction. So wherever it is, just add the refraction and then you'll have the curvature of the globe.
Yep. You're always going to get back to the point of having to falsify their model of refraction. And their model of refraction is essentially what Jeremy just said, which is it can be whatever you want it to be. Jeremy hit the nail on the head. That's the problem.
Yeah. Whatever they need, you do your thing, and then they'll tell you how much refraction there was after once they figure out how much they need for the globe curve.
Yep.
Is there any way we can sort of reverse check it or
Well, just think
It's
about it.
always curved because of refraction, and it's never flat because of refraction.
Right. Okay. So think out loud here, because this is the point that I've tried to make with Doofus. I'm sorry, with Ruhif, when he's brought up Canagoo. And so it's going to be a little bit analogous, but you can back engineer it. I'm sure it'll be easy for you to do that. So if there is a claim that the Earth is the curvature that is blocking something in the distance, the only way to falsify that physically is to measure the distance to where you are saying the horizon is. So if you crunch your math and you then get a value for where the horizon should be on paper, if you go out to that observation and the horizon isn't there, you're screwed. So the same thing is true in terms of the refraction. I don't give a flying smurf if you can write out your equation about what the refraction levels are on paper. How are you going to verify that math? Because simply because you're doing the math, that's not the evidence. That's not the proof. How are you going to verify that your math is correct? The only way to do that is to get out there and physically demonstrate it. And no one's doing that. No one.
Well, you know, like we've been doing logic and stuff just recently. First off, you start with a statement, right? To check what you're doing. So we go with the simplified black swan, right? Which is a shit argument. But simplify it, right? If the Earth is a spherical object, P, then the surface of liquid water must curve, right? Q. Antecedent, consequent. P's and Q's checked. They both check out. So the only place you can ever possibly look for curvature is on the water surface. That's it. Water surface must curve.
Okay, so let's say we went with Cleary and you, and I don't have a problem with it. I love you guys. So let's say we do the water level, right? And you've already got a diagram on the screen where you've got all of those leapfrogging water levels, right? All connected to each other. How long does that need to be?
Well, let's say the numbers. Do you want the Ruhif numbers? These are the official baller numbers. I can give you them again. Right?
Well, if that's going to answer my question, then yeah, fine. Go ahead.
Okay. Well,
how long does it need to be for what, Travis?
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you think you could measure? Right.
Okay. Okay, Bev. If you had a water level, if you had a 1 meter water level.
Yeah.
For you, Bev, would that be enough to demonstrate that no matter how far you stretch that out, that level is always going to maintain itself?
Me personally, I've already proved it to myself.
I understand that. So how much distance did you need before you were like, yeah, I'm good?
Well, there's the canal near me, 27 miles.
Okay.
That sort of sold it for me. But I mean, like I say, I already knew that.
Let me ask it a different way. What's the least amount of distance that you would have said I need to verify? Like, I don't have to. I just need to go.
Well, you see the numbers that Ruhifs give us. Like Ruhifs give us the first 500. Now they are drop numbers. Tried to do this a few times, right? So they're drop. So over the first 200 meters, there supposedly is a 3.1 millimeter drop from horizontal of the water level, right? But to assume that, you have to go against physics, right? Because there isn't a drop. That's ridiculous to think that there's a drop. That anybody that says there's a drop, like a professional surveyor that says there's a drop of the water level from horizontal, has got to be ridiculous.
How does the water level prove that there's no drop from horizontal?
Because it's an even altitude, right? The
Hydrostatic.
water levels it out itself. There's no drop. So if you take that as a fact, right, there's no drop, then you say the horizontal has to rise.
So that's your assumption is that that the water level creates a horizontal that is parallel to the surface of the earth, right?
No, it's not an assumption, right? It's just a fact that the water level does that, right?
To you, it's a fact. To you, it's a fact.
But the numbers, right? To the numbers that they've give us, the ballers, right? These are drop from horizontal, right? So these are the numbers of the water level dropping from horizontal.
Okay.
But like I say, it doesn't drop because that's what you call flowing water, right? So
Shut up,
what you
Rumpus.
have to do is you have to then go and look at the other model, the hump model, right? But the hump occurs at double the distance. So you then have to pretend there's a cord, right, from one end to the other. And the sagittar, now the hump bit, now becomes what was the drop. So if you have 400 meters of water level, then there should be a 3.1 millimeter hump that would be measurable there, right, within the numbers that they've given us.
Have you measured that 3.1 millimeter or the lack of the 3.1 millimeter in the center of a 400 meter water level? And if so,
Sorry.
have you measured that?
No.
No, you haven't. You haven't measured it. You haven't measured that there isn't, or you haven't measured that there is.
Right. Do you get the idea that there should be something there, mate? You're agreeing
model,
that there
yes,
is
of course.
something. Okay, right. Okay. So as long as you say that there is a chance that there is something there, right? We can measure the water level at that distance, can't we?
We what? We can't?
Right? We can measure the water level at that distance. Providing you've got a water level that's 400 meters long,
yep,
you can measure the level anywhere along that point from the beginning to the end.
Sure. You can
Right.
take your water level from point A, walk away from point A, all the way out to 400 meters, and you'll be the same altitude above, the surface, above the water, as you are at point A, right?
It would just be the same altitude, yeah, an even altitude.
Even altitude all the way across.
Yeah. Now, you could use geometry to use that as two different points, like you do with a straight line, to prove that two straight lines cannot share a common segment. Or you could choose to prove that two lines are parallel.
Got it. But I get the one straight line. So from A to B, the measure on the water level from water level A to B, that's a straight line. Now, how do you confirm that that is parallel with the surface of the water?
It is the water level.
It's its own.
No.
Yeah, the water level is the water level.
No, the
Like,
level
tool is
of the water
level.
underneath. The surface of the water.
The water level doesn't care about what's underneath it, Brandon.
I understand how the water level works. So it'll give you an even altitude out to 400 meters. So you're at point A, 400 meters away, you're at point B. Let's say you're 3 feet above the ground with your water level.
Yeah, and we've
That's where you
also got steps at every 100 meters along the way.
That's fine. So if you drew a straight line, an imaginary straight line from point A, 3 feet above the ground to point B, 400 meters away, 3 feet above the ground, that would be a straight line. How do you confirm that line is an even altitude all along the 400 meters above the surface of the water?
You use geometry to prove it.
Okay, how do you do that?
Can I jump in? Hold on real quick.
No.
Okay.
How do you do
that?
that?
I was going to help you. I was going to answer your question, but okay.
Oh, okay. If you got the answer, sure.
Well, it's not, I'm saying I don't have the answer, but I kind of hear you guys talking past each other and you're not on the same frequency. So let me ask you this question real quick, Brandon. Why are you asking Bev the question you are?
Because he made the statement that we could, well, I don't know. I'm trying to understand where he's coming from. If he has proven that somehow the shape of the surface, surface of water is flat, is a straight line, I want to know that. And that's the part I don't understand, is how this experiment proves that.
Okay, so this is the way I would answer it if you were asking me this question. I would say this. When you've got your water level, you mark off on each of the containers at the ends. Like if you hold them in front of you and they level out, you mark that off. Then it doesn't matter what the terrain is. You go up and down, zigzag over rocks, under this, blah, 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 and you're 500 yards apart. That you will know that those two ends are level because you marked off what level is with that amount of volume of water. So that if you get to 500 yards away and you say to yourself, I'm going to trick Bev right now, I'm going to raise up my end and throw off the level, he's going to see it.
Yeah.
That's how you
go ahead.
That's how you know they're level.
I understand.
You don't need anything else.
I understand that the 2 points are level with each other. I understand that they're the same altitude, and connecting them
let me correct you.
creates a
It's
straight
not an
line.
altitude. It's elevation. Sorry, I'm just being pedantic. It's elevation.
No, it is.
Not
It's
up
an
in the air.
altitude. The water level in the tube isn't on elevation. It's not on the ground. It's above the ground.
Okay. All right. That's fine.
So, they're at the same altitude. They're 3 feet. We've got a straight line from A to B. How do I know that the surface of the water is also a straight line? Then all along that imaginary line, at any points along that imaginary line is 3 feet above the surface of the water. That's what I want. How do I know
what
that?
What water are you talking about now?
Travis, why don't you let Bev field this one?
Because Bev's not asking the question that I think Brandon is getting at. That's what I said at the beginning. I feel like they're talking.
Brandon's
past each other.
asking the question.
Okay, listen very carefully, Jeremy. They're going back and forth, and no one's giving the answer that's going to clarify it. So I'm trying to help clarify it. Brandon, we're talking about the water level, but you're saying, how do we know the water is level? You're introducing a second body of water.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
We're measuring. We're using the water level above the surface of a still water, right?
Yes.
I'm just using the water level as sea level. Let's call it 0 sea level. If calling it water level is confusing. The surface of the water, and you're measuring the altitude above the surface of that water, and that's 3 feet. That's what your water level is measuring. So A and B are 3 feet above sea level, we'll call it. And you know that if you draw a line between those two, it is going to indeed be a straight line. How do you know along that whole 400 meters that it is 3 feet from that imaginary line to the surface of the water?
Water. Wow.
I don't
to
think
sea level. To sea level.
Here, you two. Watch out.
Surface of the water is sea level in this case.
Want to ask?
Okay,
listen. Do
you guys understand the question?
I do. Let me try.
I understand what he's saying. He's saying, how do you measure from the water level to the surface of the canal? Am I correct?
Yes, from the line. How do you know that line that you connect between the water level, so the end of the lines at A and B are each 3 feet above the water? How do you know that any point or every point along that line is also at 3 feet in altitude above the surface of the canal? Right.
You measure from the post you've put in and put the mark on to the surface of the canal.
Why are you guys not letting Bev?
At what point? Whichever point you want. You only want one at each end and one in the middle, don't you? That's all you need.
So now you've got 3 points. You've got A, B, and C.
You drive 3 stakes in, you put your water level on, you mark off where the water level is, and then measure down from that mark to the surface of the canal.
So in that case, you'd have 3 points, say, along the 400 meters. Bear with me here. A, B, and C are those 3 points. They're all 3 feet above the surface of the water in the canal, above sea level. You know you've got those 3 points that are 3 feet in altitude. How do you know in between points A and B and in between points B and C along that imaginary line that connects those? Every point along those lines is also 3 feet above the above sea level.
We've got 5 marking points, right? Because there's one at every 100 meters. 400 meters makes 5 marks. So if you're having A, B, C, well, you've got 5 points. So the ones in the middle of each of them are at the same level, right?
Yeah, so you've got 5 points that are at 3 feet now, say.
Yeah.
But Brandon,
So how do you know on yours? Hold on. How do you know on
How do you
yours?
know?
So you've got your 5 points. How do you know any segment between, say, A and B, B and C, C and D, etc., anywhere along those imaginary lines is also, every point along those imaginary lines are 3 feet in altitude as well?
Because you do geometry and you find a way to prove that 2 straight lines are sharing the same common segment, right? The same straight line.
Yeah.
Like, because that's the question, right?
Yeah.
You're asking us, is it curved?
Yeah.
Or is it straight?
No, I'm
And
asking you
I'm telling you,
Yeah.
yes, in geometry, there is a way to prove it is a straight line. Yes.
Okay, so in reality, if you're doing this test, how is it that you are going to say the segments from A to B and B to C, or even from D to E? How are you going to prove that those segments are all sharing the same plane, that they're all parallel with each other?
Because it's a straight line test, and there will
'Cause
be
that's the
no
rule of
hump
geometry.
in the middle.
No.
Right? It's not. We'll be able to prove it's not curved by showing it is straight.
I mean,
The
but
fact
how,
that-
your
the
test
fact that
doesn't
Brandon-
prove that it's straight all the way from A to E. That's the issue.
Yeah, it
That's what
does.
I'm asking you.
Yes,
Well,
it
if
does.
it does,
It
then you
does.
haven't explained to me yet how
Well,
you're
no, because
accomplishing that.
Yeah, I've been on this show a couple of times, and you've done the same thing every time.
And I've never
Right.
gotten a good answer.
No, because you don't let me go through it from the beginning.
I've let you go through from the beginning twice, but you should be able to answer this question pretty easily, because this is the key question into determining
Brandon,
what
water
the shape of the
finds
Earth
its
is.
own level.
I
is the
know.
crux
I
of it.
agree. Water finds its own level. Guys, no one needs to tell me again that water finds its own level. I fucking understand 100% that water finds its own level, and I believe that the surface of water is horizontal. I'm trying
we
to
don't
understand how this test conclusively proves that.
Okay,
With
listen.
geometry, just practical geometry, Brandon.
Geometry is not an answer. It's not a practical
Yes,
answer.
it is. Geometry
Then tell
is
me
where
how
we get
geometry
our proofs
proves
from.
it. Tell me how
Because
geometry
that's
does
what
it.
geometry does.
Explain to
Can
me
I
how
please- can I
geometry
try,
does it.
please? It's you guys are still not on the same frequency. Can I try,
Brandon,
please?
you don't understand what a proof is.
I do understand what a proof is, and you haven't given me a proof yet.
You just prove that the straight line is a shared segment, and then you prove that the straight line continues as a straight line.
And how do you do that?
Not a curved line.
With the rules of geometry.
What
The axioms
rule?
and the postulates.
Hold on,
Well,
please let me answer his
the
question.
axioms and the postulates.
Explain it to me. It should be simple.
It's a logic. Listen, it's a logical
Bev,
inference.
bring up the
Okay.
bring up the bit of paper that has all the
No, this you know how hard it is to go through this page.
Yeah, I
especially with an
do.
unwilling participant.
Okay,
Oh, who's the
I'm
unwilling
unwilling.
participant, Bev?
I'm willing to
Because
have
I
a
think
peaceful
this is a
conversation with you
very
about
simple
this.
question to answer if you know the answer.
Okay.
Just get to
In
the
in
punchline. Get
Euclidean
to the fucking
geometry, that
punchline for me
straight
and show me.
line,
I'm
two
willing to
straight
have a
lines can't share the same segment. So if you've got two lines that are the same height, same elevation above the ground, they are the same straight line. They're not two different lines or, you know, a curving line. This is why we're telling everybody to go back to the very beginning of geometry. Learn what a point is. Learn what a line is.
Only if all the line segments that you're talking about are parallel to the bottom
Okay, can I
line.
please
And
try?
you haven't
Please let me
proved that
try.
the bottom is a
Sure, Travis.
line. You haven't proved that the
Can I-
bottom's a line. That's what we're trying to
Bottom
prove.
of what, Brandon?
Sorry?
The bottom of what?
Sea
Yeah,
level.
please try?
Sea
Proving that the
level.
straight line we've
Can I
made
please
No, we
is
The
still
the
surface
got
that
the
you're
level
measuring
sea level
above
the
with
whole
your
way.
water level.
Brandon,
we're
I can have
talking
a
about the
conversation
water
with you
level.
that's peaceful. Can we please try? Please.
I am trying to get to a point I've been trying to get to for months.
I'm trying to help. I'm trying to help right now with a thought that I have in my mind. Can I have a conversation with Brandon, please? Okay. Let's say you drive a stake into the ground and you've got it marked off 3 feet high. Okay. So you've got a 5-foot stake. You drive 2 feet into the ground. You got 3 feet remaining. Now you walk 100 yards. You do the same thing. How do you know those two things are level? You know they're both 3 feet off the ground, but there could have been a deviation in the ground between you and them. You could be lower or higher. You don't know because of the distance. Okay? Do you follow that so far? Both your stakes are 3 feet high off the ground, but one of them is lower in elevation and you don't know it yet.
One of
Got
your
me?
stakes is lower in elevation. So you've got two stakes, A and B.
Yep.
One of you've marked what you think is the same height above the.
No, it's a 5. It's a 5-foot stake.
Okay.
You drive it 2 feet down. You only got 3 feet left. It's just straight up, right?
Gotcha.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Okay. Now you've got a graded field. You've graded the field as flat as you can get it because you're going to build a warehouse. Okay. And now you're marking off the corners of your foundation. So you got one foundation point, right? You got 1 point. You walk 100 yards away and you want to make sure that you have leveled your grade. So you drive that stake down and it's 3 feet high. But you know what? You didn't know that the ground topography dropped. But to you, you didn't know. So how are you going to check it? You get a water level. You put a water level at point A and you match it at the 3-foot line. And then you've got the other end of the water level 100 yards away. And lo and behold, it's not higher or lower than that point. Guess what you know now? It's a straight line. You don't have to do anything in the middle. Nothing.
It's always a straight line between two ends of a water level, Travis.
Yes.
That's not the question.
But please
Yeah,
listen.
it is.
Then. Okay, please,
That is the
please
question.
listen.
That
Okay,
isn't
please
the
listen.
question, Bev.
If
Okay,
it's a
please-
straight line,
I'm
why-
not done yet.
Where's
Please,
the curve?
please, I'm not done
No,
yet.
but-
Okay, listen, please listen. Hold on. Okay, now I'm going to change the result. Now point B is higher. So if you then put the water level at point B, it's not going to be level at point A. You now know that there's a higher elevation at point B. Now you've got a slope.
Yeah. Okay, so here, Travis, let me try to, because it's clear to me you don't understand what I'm asking,
Okay.
and maybe other people don't
Okay.
as well.
All right, that's fine.
All right.
Okay.
So in your little scenario there, we've got stakes A and B. Pound them 2 feet into the ground, and I'm going to assume that the ground from A to B is all the same altitude, right? So we'll call it 0. It's sea level
Would be
between A and B.
elevation if it's the ground, Brandon.
Sorry?
If
Oh,
you're
it's
talking
elevation.
about the ground,
Yeah.
that's the elevation.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So it's all the same elevation.
You don't assume the elevation of anything. You have to measure it.
All right, here, let me finish my scenario here. So we've got stakes A and B, same elevation between the two. And the reason we know that is because The ground is standing water at sea level. Okay, so we know that for sure, that it's the same elevation between A and B. We've got our stake sticking 3 feet off the ground. We take our water level, we put it at the top of stake A, put it at the top of stake B, mark two notches. We know those notches are at the same altitude above sea level, 3 feet. Now, if we connected a line, let's say we had some magical zero mass string, and we strung it from notch A to notch B. The question is, would every point along that line also be 3 feet in altitude above the surface of the water? That is the question.
Straight line.
We know that the no mass string that we strung is a straight line. We know that it's perfectly straight. Would the surface of the water be a straight line? In order for it to be the same altitude, our no mass string, the surface of that water would have to be a flat plane, right? A straight line.
Is the water right at a hydrostatic? Is it a like freestanding, just nothing acting upon it?
It's like the clearest day in all of history. There's not even like a butterfly farting anywhere. It's so flat. It's amazingly. It's horizontal in my opinion too, but that's what I'm asking. How does that test prove that it's horizontal?
By you use geometry and proofs to prove that it is a shared straight line segment.
How do you prove that it's a shared line segment?
That by doing what and devising a method using water levels to show that, or you could choose to show a method to show the absurdity of what the ball model would have to show, wouldn't you? You could use that reducto ad absurdum.
Okay.
Right, to show.
Brandon,
and this is your 400. This is your 5 stake method that you're alluding to. Is that correct?
But that's one of them. Yeah.
Okay. Do you now? How does that 5 stake method prove that each of those segments is parallel and that every point, along that imaginary line that connects each of those are the same altitude above the surface?
Right. This is where you have to understand what a proof is. And
hey, Bab, I just wanted to help real quick, if I can.
Yeah, go on.
What is it you think I don't understand about a proof?
Well, I'm just trying to help out here real quick. Like the 100-meter water level, if you took an auto level in between and looked 50 meters each direction, you could check that horizontal. You can choose to do that or not.
The horizontal of each segment?
Oh yeah. Yep.
But that would, okay, I'm not sure that would do it, because let's say I put my auto level in the middle of a segment A to B. It's 100 meters between them.
Yeah, you can go to the end too.
Yeah. I make it level, right? I make it level, right? Hold on. I make it level. I fire off my my auto level. Bam. It points to the same elevation, the same distance below on each one, on each stake. What does that tell me?
You could go in between. You could go before.
That means, right?
3-code planar points. Yep. You could look
to establish.
Let me say the problem and let me clarify it too. Okay, the problem is what they're saying. Okay, as frustrating as it is, the math lines up identical to the sphere if you're angling the each point. Okay, and that is very frustrating. But here's the solution.
Brian, let me
give the fucking solution, guys.
We know what you're doing. You're looking down.
No, you don't. No, you don't. Because you're making me look like an asshole unless you let me tell the solution. Okay, the solution is here's the solution is if you're going different distances with each shot, then you get a different fucking result. So it's got if we go 100 meters at a time over a mile,
50 meters.
Boy, it's killing y'all to let me fucking say my stance, right?
Yeah, can you let
Why
Brian
won't you
get
let me
it out
say
of
my
his mouth?
stance,
I mean,
dude?
what the fuck, man? Let him get it fucking out.
here's the thing, okay? So here's how you judge that. You could do multiple different shots, which would be different angles by their math. So if you went 100 meters exactly at a time and come up with a mile, they could use angles against you and say that you're shooting around a curve. But if you went 100 meters one shot, then 150 meters a second shot, then 50 meters a shot after that, then if they didn't line up, they would line up different on a spear, okay? That's the only way to distinguish is if you use different distances, which they do in surveying. They don't use the same distance shots. So to me, planar surveying proves flat water. That's my point.
Why you would come and defend the globe? That does not make any sense to me whatsoever.
I'm not defending the globe. I'm telling you how to distinguish. You didn't hear nothing I just said because you didn't listen.
I can't interrupt you because you interrupted me. Okay, what I was trying to.
You said I'm defending the fucking globe, dude. Apparently, you didn't hear me.
No wonder you won't ever come talk to us.
Yeah. Why did you say that, Cleary? He wasn't defending the globe. He was describing the situation. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Why'd you say that?
If you
His first words were the globe.
Yeah.
So what? That doesn't mean he's defending the globe?
He's saying that the measurements are going to be equal with the globe math. And
The math.
Yeah.
He's not saying that it's the Earth is a fucking globe. Why would you say he's defending the globe?
Their math, geometry, curves.
See, I don't
exactly. That's what we're trying to prove, that it doesn't.
Anyway,
but why y'all so triggered? What all I was saying is you could take a
why are you and
I'm triggered because you said I'm defending the fucking globe, dickhead.
Damn, dude.
All right, guys.
All right, guys.
Down.
Let's all settle down, myself included. Let's all calm down.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
That's
Take a deep
ridiculous.
breath, guys.
All I said was go 50 meters to the center of the 100 meter water level. Look front side, back side. Move to the end of the water level. Look back and look forward again. You're connecting all those line segments by doing that, and you have one straight horizontal line.
So you're going to do it optically? Is that right, Clear? You're going to optically look down?
What do you define as optics? Would you say that surveyors are accurate in their techniques when they're doing differential
Now you're going to
leveling?
answer my question with a question?
I'm answering you. It is accurate because surveyors use this tool to use in differential leveling to determine elevation changes. Even though you actually physically have to look with your eye, it's not like long range photography over the ocean. Okay, it's not the same thing.
Yeah, but it is optical.
Well, it
You're
has
still
its
making an
limits.
optical
Yeah, but
measurement.
can I
ask a question?
When you use it within its limits, it's very, very accurate.
Okay.
Thank you.
So 400 meters is within the limits? That's what we're saying?
You're not looking 400 meters. You're looking 50.
That's a water level 400 meters, isn't it?
Can I ask a question?
So what are we looking at 50 meter? Are we looking at one segment? Is that what you're talking about?
All right, hang on, real quick. Maybe you don't get it. We got 4 football fields to go. We go out to the 50-yard line. 50-yard line. We look back, okay, and then we look forward. All right. Then we go to the end of that first football field, and we look back, and we look forward. Okay. Then we go to the next 50-yard line on the second football field, and we look back, and we look forward. Right, all the way down. 50% overlap.
50% overlap. So you're looking past the ones that are the post that's behind you and the post in front of you to the one beyond it. Is that what you're doing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, my
so
brother.
you're leapfrogging when you're looking back.
Doing.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was saying, dude. Use different distances. That's exactly what I was trying to say, man.
Right? Yeah, but what we're doing is we're going to substitute that looking for an actual water level, like a real physical water level, an actual thing, right? With the water that evens out at every point. Now, at every 100 meters.
Okay. Wait, so you're not gonna do what Cleary described, Beth?
We've already checked that 100 meter water level is level. We've already done that. That's been done ages ago.
You can do both and check the results against each other.
Wait. Okay.
Which they'll all be the same anyway.
100 meters. There's not very much difference between the two models, right? It's level. I believe you that it's level. Totally.
Yep.
So how did you determine that 100 meters was level? Real quick.
We got a water level, and we put an auto level in the middle of it, right, and looked at either end. Then we moved the auto level to one end, and we looked at both ends again. And then we moved it 50 meters past the end, and then we looked at both of the ends again through the scope. Right? Is that enough?
I don't know. I don't know.
Because it was enough. It was enough for me to prove that a water level was level, but I already knew it was level anyway.
You keep extending the line and rechecking on what you've done.
That was my
already.
point, man. If you use different distances, then if it was a sphere and you use different distances, you would get varying results. You'd get varying results, but you don't in real life. You don't get varying results.
Yeah,
that's my whole point.
Doesn't matter ever. Nobody. If you're doing differential leveling and you're just concerned with the elevation, you do not matter about the distance you take.
Right. That's my point. That's the only way to distinguish. Doing it mathematically, that's what I was trying to tell Brandon, is doing different distances, you'd get different results on a globe, but in reality, we don't get different distances.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying, Brian.
I agree.
We're not on a globe, so why talk about?
I don't think these guys are trying to falsify one or the other models, Brian. I think we have different goals, and that's why I get frustrated. But that's okay.
We're all on the same team for
Hey, Brandon, have you brought up the Mills Cross telescope yet? And showed them that it's a mile long each radio. The Mills Cross telescope. It's over a mile long on each arm.
No, we haven't looked at that yet.
Okay, so you can look at it. You can obviously see each arm is over a mile long, created by right-angled triangles. Okay, they used it. No, it's not derail. It's showing you that they created a telescope with an arm over a mile long, and then they took a picture of it showing you there's no fucking Earth curve, period. It's that easy to see. But unfortunately, you guys are going to keep squabbling. Go look at the mill.
Well, we're not squabbling, Data. I mean, this is something we've been talking about for
it's what
a long
we do.
time.
Yeah, but here's how easy it is. So you're talking about 2 points of elevation creating a horizontal path. This is a prime example of 2 points of elevation creating a horizontal path over a mile long, using right-angle geometry to create the Mills Cross telescope. It's go look at it. It's right there for everybody to go see. So you want to look at how they measured from 2 points, creating a horizontal path. They're not going to make an adjustment for curvature for this radio telescope.
Agreed.
The arms have to be straight.
Let's wrap that up.
Brian.
Hold on, Brian. Let's wrap this up, and then I'll actually bring that up just to show people what you're talking about. But let's wrap this up. I do have a question for Bev. Bev.
Okay.
Are you attempting in any way to falsify one or the other model and prove or disprove the shape of the Earth, the shape of the surface of the Earth?
I am here personally because somebody challenged me, right, to prove something that I already knew that was the truth, right? So what I'm doing here is proving to myself that level is horizontal. Now, over the 2 years I've been doing this, a lot of people have gotten butthurt. A lot of people have called me a flat earther. They've even gone as far as to say, because I say that level is horizontal, then I am a flat earther, right? The very person that called me a child abuser is the same person that says, if you think level is horizontal, then you are a flat earther, right? So I'm doing this for everyone that gets called to be a flat earther, right? But I'm doing it for myself, just proving that level is horizontal. That's it.
I agree with Bev. I'd like to give final thoughts.
Hold on a minute. Let me try it a different way. Will your test prove what the shape of the surface of the Earth is?
Right. Proof is a personal thing. You have to go through a process to earn your own proof. I cannot give it to you, obviously, because you don't seem to understand.
Are geometrical
the
proofs?
geometry.
No, shut the fuck up, Bev. With this, you don't seem to understand, and these sly little fucking insults you keep throwing in.
Are
you trying to trigger me,
Brandon? No, Brandon. No. A lot of people do get triggered by me, though.
Let me get my final thoughts real quick, man, to cool things down.
One more thing. You didn't answer either of my questions. Are you trying to prove the shape of the surface of the Earth, Will your test prove? It sounded like no and no.
It's like I am doing it to prove to myself that level is horizontal.
And if level is
To me,
horizontal, the
yes.
Earth is fucking flat, Bev.
Okay, then. Brilliant.
So you are doing
you've
it
come
to
your own
prove the shape of the
That's an
surface of the Earth.
implication, though.
Well done, Brandon.
Okay, thank you. So that is a yes then. You will prove
Yeah, we
the shape of
use
the
that
surface of
to
the Earth.
measure elevation, right? Which disproves flatness.
Oh, for fuck's sake. All right, I'm done. Go ahead, guys.
All right, let me give my final thoughts on this. My final thoughts are, and Brandon, listen. I ain't got no backhanded shot. Okay, here's the thing. I'm going to give an extreme example of the only way to disprove this shit mathematically. Okay, because unfortunately, mathematically, if you are going around a curve, they are identical. It's frustrating as fuck, dude. We try on this channel to come up with a example to distinguish between the two, and it is way harder than you think. Mathematically, it's damn near impossible, but here's the only way I've come up with. Okay, so let's say, when I say different distances with a straight line, what I mean is, let's just say you're going to go around a whole globe with a straight line. You're going to make a diamond, basically. You're going to shoot to one point, and it be a one corner, and then down, back around the circle, you're going to have a diamond, or like a sideways square around a globe. But if one of them shots is, if one of them shots is only 1/5 of the way of that arm, you're going to get you're going to get different angles. So you're not going to have that diamond, see, the only way that it works on the globe mathematically, okay, is if you do exact same distances with exact shots. If you vary them distances, then you get deviations. You don't get that diamond. You'd have a fucked up looking shape if you did 3 shots a quarter of the way around the circle, and then one just 1/8 of the way. So, and in planar surveying, they don't go the same distance each time. So they should, on a globe, theoretically get different elevations. They should get different elevation, and they don't. So to me, mathematically, that proves that flat is horizontal, is straight, is level. Okay, but that's the only way mathematically, in my opinion, to prove it, and that's what we're trying to do. Brandon's getting, he ain't trying to be a dick, but what we're trying to do on this channel is we're trying to come up with tests to distinguish the two. There's something that doesn't work on both. They got an excuse, however bullshit it may sound, it does work mathematically if you keep changing angles. They could say that we're shooting around a circle. I don't agree with it, okay? But mathematically, it does work. But if you change up them distances between each shot, then you don't get consistent measurements. And what we have in reality is consistent measurements that anybody could go verify. I think Bev has done that. Thank you.
Mathematically, there is definitely a difference between a circle and a straight line.
Right.
Yeah, Bev,
I
aren't you
thought
just
that
going to
too.
make a horizontal with surveying tools and then see if the water level drops from horizontal? Isn't it that easy?
Well, the water level doesn't drop from horizontal. That's logical.
That's what you're checking for with auto level, though, right?
No, the water level doesn't drop, right?
If water,
I know, but you're
is
going to measure.
going-
You're going to take your auto level and measure.
Yes, but
to see
it's
if
common
there's drop.
sense. If water has a elevation
Hold on a second.
drop,
Let me
it
just. I got a
runs
question for
away,
Bev real
doesn't
quick.
it? It flows. There's your
Let me just
answer.
ask Bev real quick. You're going to take your auto level and your water level, and you're going to check to see if the water level drops from horizontal, right? Or if there's a hump in the middle or something, right?
The water level doesn't drop from horizontal. That would be flowing water.
I know, but is that what you're going to do with the auto level?
Why? Who said then I'm going to do anything with the auto level?
Y'all need to get your own water levels and your own auto levels. Figure this shit out for yourselves.
Yeah, an auto level is $139 in the U.S. and the water level that you got, Bev, I think we're about $100.
It's 100. Yeah, for the 400 meters.
Yeah.
We haven't got any calibrated water. I don't.
We got to get our own gyro, our own fucking water level. What are we doing here, guys? Are we on the same team or what?
Yeah, it's an auto level.
What the fuck, man?
Agreed. Hey, has anybody took a gyro on a plane and set it up at altitude and made a video out of that? Because I was to the understanding that they have, and the gyro doesn't follow the curve of the Earth, But I want to see that.
Yeah, you buy a gyro and play around with it, and you'll
I've
find
done
out.
I've done the observation with. I've done the observation, not with a gyro.
You've done the observation with the gyro data, you said?
Connection.
Your
So
audio
I done not with a gyro, but with. Can you hear me now?
I think so.
Don't
Yeah.
airplanes have gyros built
I
in
hear
them
you.
if they reset from the start?
Mic
before
check,
they
mic
take
check. That's
off?
why we need one without pendulous fucking veins, right?
Matrix.
We need one without pendulous veins, guys.
Okay, so listen. I've done it with a protractor, a digital protractor, which would be the same thing. Once you calibrate your 3D space, any action on that protractor, digital protractor, will show you any elevation change or tilt change. So once it's calibrated in 3D space, if you tilt the protractor up or down, it will show the pitch. Do you guys follow?
Yeah.
Same. So listen, I've done this hands-on when the pilot was announcing landing. I calibrated my protractor. The plane landed. Guess what degree my protractor had? I put a video up. All this stuff was all documented. I went to the pilots and asked them, guess when the plane landed, guess what my protractor registered in flight for a degree?
What?
Between 3 and 4%, or 3 to 4 degrees. When I asked the pilot, I said, hey, I calibrate during cruising altitude. I told the pilot I calibrated the protractor in 3D space to the plane. I said, guess when we landed horizontal, what pitch it was? He said about 4 degrees, and I said, you're about right. So you can take a protractor, calibrate it in 3D space. When the plane is at cruise altitude, it will calibrate at 3 degrees. When you land horizontal, it will show the degrees of the flight of the plane.
Planes always fly nose up 3 to 4 degrees.
Exactly, sir. So if I
calibrated it on what?
So
he calibrated it in flight, so the nose was up 3 or 4 degrees.
Listen. Listen. Take a protractor, put it to anything, any object, calibrate it, and then move your protractor around.
The back of the seat.
He's a fucking Glover. He's a fucking Glover.
Shut up, dickhead.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, what I registered is liftoff and takeoff, which you can see the effects of acceleration on the measurement, which I recorded. You can see all this stuff.
What the hell are you doing, Data? Sounds like you're wrestling.
You're moving.
Oh, that's all right. It was just a little distracting. That's all.
Anyway, the reason why I brought up the Mills Cross telescope is because it's right up Bev's and Cleary's avenue when it comes to 2 equal points of elevation, creating a horizontal path.
No, I'm doing this for myself, right?
Yeah, awesome. So listen, this is a practical.
How much does that cost?
Yeah, this is a practical thing to show you that there's no way the Earth is curving 8 inches per mile square at all. Mills Cross radio telescope.
Yeah, let's take a look at that because that sounded pretty interesting. I'd never heard that before. The Mills Cross telescope. I think you might.
Crosby, Stills, and Nash, or what was it?
Well, guess what, guys? When you're into 2 equal points of elevation, you're going to create a horizontal line. That's very important when it comes to the radio.
Not on the globe model. On the globe model, 2 points of same elevation create a curved line.
Right.
Again, we're not on a model, buddy. We're not on the model, buddy.
But in their model,
we're not on a model, buddy. What we've done is created 2 equal points of elevation, which is a horizontal path. Again, we're not on a model, buddy. No matter how much you want, there's no model data here at all. No model data.
It doesn't distinguish, man.
I love how data always comes in like
it does distinguish because it goes. Because listen, either you're stupid as shit. Because once
I already figured it out.
Listen, you're not gonna listen, are you? You're not gonna listen, are you?
Let me say a word, man.
Go look at the.
Data. Let Jeremy speak. Let him speak. Let him fucking speak. Go ahead, Jeremy.
On the globe model, which is their claim, is that 2 points of same elevation is not a straight line; it's a curved line. You could say it's a straight line all you want.
Listen, you can keep saying that. You can say that all you want. I provide a practical. I provide a.
Finish your statement, Jeremy. I muted him. I'll unmute you when Jeremy's done with his statement. Data. Go ahead.
Unfortunately, Jeremy's right.
You can say it's a straight line all you want. That's what our claim is. It's a straight line.
Right.
So you've got 2 different claims on the table. Who's going to prove it first? That's all.
We're trying to falsify one or the other model. Okay, Data.
Yeah, they're made with two straight right angles. Show me how that's done on a globe model.
It starts with a straight
over a
line in
mile
free
long.
space, and that's what we're trying to prove. We're trying to get a straight line in
Again.
free space.
Yeah, that's easily done with gyros. The point is this is a practical observation that has to be a horizontal path for the radio telescope to work. You can't have a curving arm of a telescope. That's not how they work, guys. Sorry.
Shortest distance between two points is a straight line.
Of course.
Cleary, I love you. I don't think you're a dickhead, bub.
The shortest
I love
distance
it too,
between
man.
2 points is a straight line.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Agree with you. 100%. Shortest distance, straight line. B-ball for life, $5. Data. Please
Not
post the link
a
to your
curve.
protractor done on the aircraft. Did you make a video out of that, Data, or you got anything you can share?
My first Flat Earth data channel I had it all up there. I took down my channel. I deleted all this stuff, so I have to go back and find the video. But listen, anybody can go into a plane, take a digital protractor, calibrate it on the runway, and notice when you're in the air cruising, you'll get a pitch around 3 to 4 degrees. Or you can calibrate just before landing, 20 minutes before landing, in cruise control. The pilot announces you're going to land. It takes about 20 minutes to 30 minutes to descend, maybe 45. To descend from that point of notification, you can calibrate to the surface of the plane, the floor of the plane, or your chair, because it's attached to the plane. So if the plane is tilted, so is your fucking chair. You can calibrate it when you land. It will show a 3 to 4 degree tilt. But more importantly, it's straight lines and angles.
Cool.
Could you not calibrate it first and then take it on there and measure degree?
You
tilt as
calibrate
you're
to the
flying?
surface. You calibrate to the surface first, and that way any acting force on the calibration shows you the degree of change. That's what you do.
If we set a gyroscope in mid-flight, if we can get a gyroscope running for 20 minutes, okay, and we're going, let's just say 550 miles, let's just say 500 miles an hour, then we're looking at about a 4 degree change in that hour. And I mean, I can't believe that nobody's done this. They've done it with apps on phones and stuff, but hadn't anybody brought an actual gyroscope up at in a commercial flight? Even
No, I think they have, Brian. I think even the ballers have done it as well. I just can't remember it.
How are you going to power this gyro?
That's a great point, though. See, Brian,
How are
if
you
you
gonna
took
power
that
the
gyro
gyro?
up in a plane, you could prove it to yourself. But if you try
Yeah,
to
but
tell
how-
Rumpus about it, he's not going to believe it.
Well, I've already
Gentlemen.
proven it to myself going down the beach from a orthogonal view from the top of the beach, measuring like 3 sticks along the coastline. But if you look at the math dictates that I could be making slight little angle turns each time. And but if you're measuring 3 of them, which are differential distances, to me that proves it's flat. But that to me that's the only way, is with differential distances would not work on a globe. That's what I was trying to say earlier. Is if the only way it's going to work on a globe is if you have them distances exactly the same going around the globe, matching them angles. But once you start mixing up the distances, that fucks with the angles, that fucks with the math. That proves one way or another, and I haven't went far enough to prove it either way. But in my head, it proves flat. But I haven't done it in reality yet.
I'm gonna shift gears here a minute. Illegal, who is in the Discord chat right now, has a subject that he'd like to bring up. Illegal?
I got to go, guys.
Yeah,
See you later.
Yep. See you, Claire.
See you later.
Speaking of my video, I do have a video of pilots I interviewed after the
Data.
experiment or the observation I've done.
Yeah.
You can go watch the video of the pilot when I asked him about the observation I did with my protractor. So the video's still up, but the actual video footage of the protractor is not up. I'll have to find it.
Okay. Go ahead, Illegal. Is it illegal
hear
or
me?
is it illegal?
It's a play on words. It's pronounced illegal, spelled differently because of my name, of my birth name. My birth name is Native American, which means eagle, and so my music production name and DJ name was illegal, and so it's a play on words of the spelling of illegal.
It's pretty cool, man. It makes me think of the Beastie Boys. I like it.
Okay, y'all can hear me then?
Yep, we're good.
Okay, as far as the last topic, I just want to say, I don't know, like, I appreciate y'all doing tests and that, but to sit here for like 2 hours and listen to you debate and speculate about the tests and this and that, like just do the test and do the things and then come back with the results and then talk about it. But it's like spending 2 hours talking about something that nobody's done yet or whatever is kind of tiring, but that's okay. But as far as the new topic, the only thing that I wanted to bring up that's completely unrelated was how does sound work in a vacuum? And I can tell you why I'm asking this question. I don't know a whole lot about vacuums other than what I've learned from this topic from, so I just want to know how does sound work in a vacuum? Or do you want me to tell you why I'm asking you this question before anybody responds?
Go ahead.
Oh, okay, so the newest, I was just on my phone scrolling through, and the newest NASA news is that we can now hear the sound of rocks being zapped by lasers on Mars. so I just thought that was funny, and then I just thought about, just the aspect of sound and how does sound work in a vacuum, and they're telling us, they have video, which we know they don't. They're saying now they have a microphone for the first time, and we can listen to the sound of them vaporizing, or I don't know, zapping rocks on Mars and what that sounds like. And I just wondered what the laws or how sound works in a vacuum. That's all.
Don't they say Mars has got 2% of Earth's atmosphere, though?
Exactly, Brian.
Yeah.
That's the excuse they use. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
That.
they say it's actually got a very slight atmosphere.
Let's see. Yeah, it's let me see. Mars has a thin atmosphere, less than 1/100th of Earth's, actually. So really small.
Is it?
Yeah.
Think of the helicopter they want to fly there. So
that's how they've got away with
it.
They
can't say there's no air at all. They can't say there's no atmosphere because they want to fly a helicopter there.
Right.
Hey,
There's your answer.
My question to you guys: have you looked at Total Recall and how they pushing like the movie Total Recall with Arnold Schwarzenegger and reatomizing the air with the ice crystals?
Yeah, but so does anybody
hold
know how
on,
sound is
where did
supposed to work
where did that
in
come
space?
from? That come from the theory of fucking terraforming Mars, man. That's what they think.
Yeah, they do think that. That's where they got most of their ideas was from science fiction, and that was from what's that author's name? He's one of my favorite authors.
Arthur C. Clarke.
No. This wasn't Arthur C. Clarke. No.
K. Dick.
I just found out about
1%. Wait, guys. Wait, 1% of 14.7 psi is 0.147. Okay, so how high in our atmosphere do we have to be to hit 0.1%? Okay, in the high balloon altitude footage that we've seen, it never gets quite down to 0.1. It gets down to maybe it does at like 120,000 feet, but there ain't shit up there according to them. I mean, absolutely not enough for a helicopter, right?
Well, you're wrong about that. In their fantasy story, bro, and trust me, I don't believe it. They have a whole series of how that helicopter works and how they designed the blades and how they have to make them go 2,200 RPMs.
Yeah, I'm balling again, man.
Bullshit story.
I'm balling again, man.
Hey, but no one did answer his question, which was how is sound supposed to work in a vacuum?
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
Yeah, that's what I was asking. If I can interject real quick and kind of add on to my question, like sound is like air movement or a wave of whatever air movement. So I guess that's why you're talking about the atmosphere part of it, because without an atmosphere, without some sort of air, and you can't have sound without air movement. Am I right or am I wrong?
You're right.
I agree, man. Hey, anybody wants to see more and the actual science on this, go to, you could look at a little tiny portion of it at the end of my video on Flat Earth Test, or you could go to Teeth of the Lamb, and they put out a video 2 days ago, and it's an old Globebuster video, Iru, and I know we all seen it, but to rewatch the portion that he zeroes in on, Teeth of the Lamb,
has got a channel, and he shows like stuff they showed us before this debate came out. So we were getting actual information about what is going on up there at altitude before the flat Earth globe Earth debate. That's where we got to start searching, is before this debate came, because they're changing all the information. They're blocking it, whether the ballers want to admit that shit or not. It's reality. They're blocking a lot of the information, changing a lot of the information. The actual science that's going on up there is not a vacuum. There's a altered state. Rocky has touched on it. Okay, Iru's touched on it. I've touched on it. There's an altered state of not solid, liquid, or gas, but a superfluid, and it doesn't obey the normal laws that we see here at ground level, and we only know tiny bits about it. We can only see, we can only make inferences on what we see that's going on up there, and the temperature does not get up to 4,000 degrees at like 70 miles. It doesn't start going up again. It goes down to way in the negatives, down close to absolute zero, and matter doesn't act the same up there. And Bob, I hope Bob, I made a video and I put Bob Nodell's name in it. It was just our side of the relative density disequilibrium argument, just so there's clarity on that. I didn't mean no offense, and we love you and all that, and you have an open mind, so do we. We hear your side of the argument, and we know you hear ours, and the point is we don't need gravity unless there is a void out there with nothing in it. Then you have to have gravity. If you start off in space, you're going to need gravity. If you're starting here on the ground, and the higher you go, it never turns into a void, which, as far as we could see, it doesn't. Then all we need is a relative disequilibrium. Everything works on equilibrium. Everything in Mother Nature. Disequilibrium is a force, but it takes force to disequalize anything. Temperature, altitude, okay, pressure. It takes, the force is getting shit out of disequilibrium. Okay, the force ain't it getting back to equilibrium. The force is getting it out of disequilibrium. That's my point.
I want to talk to you about something you just said. The words you used, that was really interesting, and I'm sure Bob is not offended, because even on Sunday he said, I'm open to this and open to be having my mind changed, something along those words. So he's open to this this debate, and so am I, to be quite frank. I think it's a good debate, but I just wanted to say before we move on that the Martian atmosphere supposedly has 6.58 of 6.5 millibars of atmospheric pressure per the story. And on Earth, someone asked how high you would have to go. You'd have to go about 21, 22 miles to get up to the same millibar level atmospheric pressure on Earth.
Wait, how far, Brandon? I'm sorry. How far do we have to go
22
to get that
miles, 35 about kilometers.
Bam, case closed.
Yeah. And that's way above how high a fucking helicopter can go, by the way. I don't know what this helicopter's doing that's so special, but
it's doing something special.
Hey, Brandon.
Wait till you find out how much one wing weighs of that helicopter. I think it's a dime or 2 dimes.
How much does each wing cost? Probably about a trillion dimes.
Yeah.
Well, that cost us about 10 million, I suppose.
Who said
each blade?
No shit, right?
Each blade, yeah.
Somebody said my name. Who said, hey Brandon?
To end that subject, I want to say that Bob, you started your presentation off in space, and I understand that, yeah, if there's a spot in with nothing at all, then yeah, that makes sense. But if you look at free falling as 0G, yeah, that's the whole trick, Bob. The trick is free falling is 0G. The point is that on the ground is 0G, and we don't need, if we don't leave the planet, we don't need their F equals MA. Okay, it's weight equals MA. Okay, free falling is disequilibrium itself. If you're free falling, you are in disequilibrium until you get back to where you started. Then you are at equilibrium. As long as there's a median, there is no reason to explore outside of relative density disequilibrium. Thank you.
Yeah, I was thinking about this the other day. I was going back and forth with a couple of people, and just let me respond to that, and I'll go to you. Then Don, I'll go to you. When you pick something up, in my mind, you do not impart energy. You do not impart force to the object. There's no transfer of energy or force from you to the object itself. There's no like physical transfer that's going on. What you've done is you have used force and you've expended energy to place that object in a state of disequilibrium with the medium it's in. And when that's no longer supported by your force and you let it go, it wants to return to its state of equilibrium. So it's either going to go down or go up, depending on the difference between it and the medium it's in.
Shout out to Dr. John D. Shout out to Dr. John D., who does a good job illustrating that. It's very tedious. It's very, it's so thorough that it's exhausting, but he gives all the different states and possibilities with this transfer of energy and with this relative density equilibrium. And if you don't understand what he's saying, man, you're stepping outside of the method. And I think he does a great job. It is exhausting, but he covers every possibility and all of the assumptions made with transfer of energy, the word energy itself, how it's been reified, and what we can actually prove here on Earth where we live. Okay, not in a fantasy world where you have to imagine shit, but in reality.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Shout out to Dr. John D.
Yep, Don, go ahead.
I got a question next.
Okay, Don, did you say something? Is Don even in here? Who was it that said, who spoke up? I thought it was Don.
No, it was me. I was just going to say it's a pressure. You're applying pressure. It's not a force. It's just you're applying pressure to the object. And we move through pressure. Our muscles operate in pressure. It's just pressure. So when you apply pressure to an object, you're now overriding the pressure around that object. When you let go of the object, now it's subjected to the pressure around it. If it's greater or less than, and it will go in the direction opposite to where the pressure was applied.
Yep.
Okay. Who had the question?
Me. Putting the debate of how much atmosphere Mars has aside, I'm genuinely asking this. It's not a trick question because I don't know. What are the requirements to have sound, or can you have sound in a perfect vacuum? I know they don't claim that space is a perfect vacuum, 17 to the minus whatever Tor or whatever, but in a perfect vacuum or just in general, what is required to have sound? Putting the whole
apparently a spacesuit with an atmosphere in it, the sound could transfer into that spacesuit. That's the best I can give you from what I've seen researching, is that if you have a spacesuit with an atmosphere in it, the sound could transfer through the zero medium into that spacesuit and into your microphone. And common sense says otherwise.
Well, now their official line here is that, and this is some college thing, and maybe this isn't correct, but it says sound does not travel at all in space. The vacuum of outer space has essentially zero air. Because sound is just vibrating air, space has no air to vibrate and therefore no sound. So it's saying it won't travel at all. There's nothing to vibrate.
There you go.
Now, if it is touching your glove, though, Brian, if it's touching your glove and you're hammering something, your suit is vibrating the air inside your suit. So in that case, the motion is directly in contact with the air that's inside your suit. That makes sense that sound would travel in your suit. But if it's disconnected from you, there's no reason unless that vibration is making it to you.
Though. Do you remember watching that video where they showed the astronaut trying to fix or find the hole of the meteorite that punctured the ISS, and he had a knife and he was hacking away? You remember that video?
Yeah.
You could hear him hacking away.
Well, I guess
that
was the Russian on the Russian.
Wouldn't it be vibrating? It'd be vibrating the knife, which is moving his glove around, which is touching the air that's in his suit. So
yeah, it depends.
How can we transfer a signal?
Just wait. Okay,
it depends on if the mic is inside his suit or if the mic is outside of his suit.
Yeah.
No. Okay, well, I don't know why
you've got to assume then that sound is transmitting through his glove, through his hand, into his body, back into his suit, into the air that's in the suit, and then to the microphone.
I guess, yeah.
Or the radio, or the meteorite had radio waves, so it did it through radio waves, like Richard Nixon talking to the astronauts on the moon. So you can't get sound on the moon, but you could transmit the radio waves. So the meteorite had radio waves coming from it, which made it to the microphone. Or big bunch of bullshit.
Going from the knife, the glove,
Not
to the rest of the suit, to the camera.
What's that percentage?
I said, or it's just
water,
going
a
from the
metal-
glove to the rest of the suit to the camera. It doesn't need to go through your body or anything.
Right. Yeah, it just goes, it's just touching your suit. It's, the knife is rubbing against your suit. There's air inside your suit, so it's just traveling like any other sound would travel through that air, right?
I wouldn't even say air. I would say matter.
Okay. Yeah, you're right.
It doesn't need to necessarily be air.
Just nonsense.
When they got caught, because obviously we know sound doesn't travel. We all seen the bell jar, right? In the little vacuum. We've all seen that.
Oh yeah.
Once they got
With
caught
the
on the
alarm
line, and they
bell
came
in
up with the story. Oh, no problem. It goes from the hammer to the hand, through the suit, to the microphone. Voila.
Bam.
Yeah.
Bam. 3 coplanar points. Bam.
Yeah, here's this guy. He's going to ring this bell here. You guys won't be able to hear it in there, but I'll play it for the audience. Get to the point, old man. I'm sure you're very interesting. It's not making any sound. Now he's letting the air in. Now you can hear the frickin' bell.
I think I seen that in grade 6 or something.
Yeah, it's pretty striking. I mean, it's kind of surprising when you look at it. You're like, but the bell's right there. Why can't we hear it?
Don't it get you thinking deep though? Like you think about the sun, like when you get up high and high altitude. I like to go by not what they say, especially but what we can see. And when you get above the light blue haze above the atmosphere, about 15, 20 miles, then you don't see stars in my opinion, but you see the sun out there. But everything else is pitch black. Everything's pitch black, and it's like I mean, it just in my head, everything indicates a closer, more local sun.
Oh, me too.
That's in my head, but I don't know.
No,
man.
it all lines up. It all makes sense for a close and local sun, in my opinion. It's just it's right there. You look at the fucking sun. The sun's right there. It's right up there. Nap snaps, $2, maybe because Mars isn't a vacuum. Yeah, I think we covered that, Naps, but that's a good escape out for you. No, that
So
makes sense.
how much air is required for sound to travel? Like the atmosphere on Mars is much less, but how much do they say the air or atmosphere is required in order for sound to travel or whatever?
That's a
Can
good
you hear me?
question.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I don't know if you guys realize this or not, but I actually covered this before the Mars mission was launched. And yeah, the Mars atmosphere is actually less than 1% of Earth's atmosphere. So, and they have fudged and said, well, sometimes it's up to 2%. But then I showed that Cody's lab demonstration where they put it at roughly Mars's atmosphere, right? And then they turned the fan on right next to a feather, and the feather, even the smallest hairs on the feather wouldn't move. So that tells you that there is no medium in there for sound to travel through, for one. And secondly, that also tells you that there is nothing for a helicopter blade to bite into, even at high speed RPM, to drive a helicopter around. I mean, it's absolutely preposterous, the bullshit they're trying to pull.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Much less a parachute, guys, right?
Yep.
So Bob, in his experiment, he set the atmosphere in his vacuum to equivalent to what's on Mars. I didn't realize that because I've seen that video, and then tried to blow the feather and it didn't go anywhere.
He even went beyond that. And not only did he set it to equivalent at Mars, but he put a piece of dry ice in there because Mars's atmosphere is allegedly CO2, right? So he puts the CO2 in there, or the dry ice, which of course evaporates to CO2, and then he dropped it to 0.088 psi, right? And not a and he puts this fan at high speed right next to the feather, this teeny tiny feather, and it wouldn't even move the smallest hairs on the feather at all.
Yeah, that's really remarkable. Yeah.
Talking about Mars.
Hey, Brandon.
Yo.
I have a quick question. Brandon. Sorry to interrupt. Okay, to have an atmosphere, whatever difference it is between. But let me project the same thing on Earth onto Mars. Can you have an atmosphere without gas pressure?
No,
Good
because
point.
atmosphere requires gas, and if there's no pressure, then you have no atmosphere.
Yeah.
Okay, boom. So the same thing we see about Earth, about having an atmosphere here or air that we can breathe and can't have gas pressure without a container. The same reason we need it here, in order for it to be there on Mars, they would also have to have a container, logically, correct?
Yep.
That's a good point.
No, don't extend that. Don't extend that argument.
Don't infect Mars with that argument, huh, Howard?
Little critical thought, man. Little critical thought's all it takes, man, to start breaking down the logic.
Yeah, Brandon.
Yo.
Exactly. But don't you? The ballers will come back and say, well, yeah, that's why Mars's atmosphere is so low, because their gravity is lower, right? And because their whole claim is that it's gravity that's holding the atmosphere to the planet, much like what they're saying here, right? But the problem is again, and this is why I've covered vacuum so many times. When you talk about 10 to the negative 17 torr versus 14.7, and you have to understand the power differential in that. I mean, the Sandusky vacuum facility in Sandusky, Ohio, NASA's facility there, only goes to about a little bit over 1/3 the vacuum that you would have in space, right? And it is required for that facility. Oh yeah, you got the ad up there. Yeah, but I don't think that's his, because his feather didn't move. I'm looking at the.
Oh no! This is Cody's lab. Yeah.
Yeah, he's letting the air in
before he evacuates it. Yeah. Okay. All right. So anyway, the Sandusky lab, they say that in order to stop the air from being drawn through the doors and the walls, they have to be 8 feet thick of concrete and steel, right? So if the Sandusky lab has to have 8 feet thick walls of concrete and steel, then how does the ISS support a 14.7 psi atmosphere with a beer can basically worth of hull?
Yeah.
With words.
No shit.
They use words, and they say that 0.1 psi is barely less than 0.5 psi or 1 psi. They don't do it correctly using differential. But if you get into the nitty gritty, they will start talking differentials. But when you start comparing it to the ISS and whatnot, then they just forget all about the differentials, and they have a whole different argument. That's a good point, Bob.
That's right, and that's exactly what Wolfie 6020 said. He came out and he goes, oh, there's no damn difference between 30 psi and 60 psi. And he goes and he fills up his friggin' car tire with 60 psi. And he's like, see, no problem. And it's like, and then he says, and it's the same way. If you go 30 down to 0, there's no difference. It's like, au contraire. There's a huge difference when you're going 30 to 0. As soon as you get below 1 torr, that's when it goes logarithmic. That's when the magic happens. And that is when.
That's the trick. Bob, that's the trick. They got rid of negatives, man. They got rid of negatives, and they make everything a positive and everything down to a scale to 0 when nature works on equilibrium, in my opinion. Go ahead. Sorry to interrupt.
I agree.
Nature abhors a vacuum.
And we will, I'm sure you guys are aware that I'm going to do a show tomorrow night, and we're going to be talking about this thing. Obviously, I disagree with, the equilibrium is absolutely correct. But my position on this is that there has to be an initial bias. There has to be something there that sets this all off. And I'll put the case forward and all that. But I'm really looking forward to hearing
only if there's a 0.
Well, I'll tell you there's a 0. Bob, I'll tell you, why can't the answer be that is a law of physics? There's an up or down. Things go up or they go down when they're out of equilibrium. Bam, there's your law.
That's my opinion too, Brandon. Yeah. Why can't there just be that the creator set up and down? It's not a bias.
They don't know why hot goes to cold, right? They have no idea why hot goes to cold.
Up is up and down is down. Why isn't down where everything gets lighter? Why is
they offer no explanation of why hot goes to cold, but we know hot goes to cold, even though there's no explanation. Same thing is up and down. Same thing is pressure or no pressure. They don't go negative. Okay, when in reality it takes a force to get a negative pressure, negative temperature, negative height, negative everything. If you take a beach ball underwater, or if you try and evacuate air, it takes force to do all this. You got to start off in a realistic point. Don't start off in space. You can't assume that there's a spot void of all material, void of all heat, void of all pressure. You got to start at a spot in reality, and that is here at the ground on Earth with a certain temperature, a certain pressure, and a certain height. And then your brain will work out different.
Can I just come in there for a second?
As I totally get that, and like I said, we're going to be talking about that because, you know, obviously there's a much different way to look at it. This not only that, but the math allowing that positive force allows us to calculate how things are going to behave. I mean, there is, in my mind, guys, there's no doubt that there's a bias there, and I will.
But Bob, then you need a whole nother calculation, Bob. If you're going to say it like that, then you need a whole nother equation for buoyancy.
No, you don't. Why would you?
If you're going to say there's a downward bias, Bob, then you have to come up with a whole nother equation for buoyancy instead of just one equalizing equation, right?
How can you deny?
They've been there for centuries. Come on, man. I don't have to make up new math.
How do you deny the downward?
I will give you that. It does work, but that is starting off with a solid in air, or assuming the vacuum, or in air. That is starting off with disregarding the force it took to get that object up there, brother.
Doesn't matter.
You cannot say the reason that something falls is because I caused a disequilibrium by lifting.
The reason something falls is because you lifted it up, brother.
Hold on, wait. Why can't you say that? You can't. Now, Bob, I agree with you in a sense that you can't say that you transferred energy or to that object. But when you take something out of disequilibrium, it goes one way or the other. It falls. Well, what's wrong with that? I don't understand.
And it takes a force to do that.
Is. It takes. You lifted it up. You put it there. Now it doesn't have force. It's in disequilibrium.
It's a specific vector. Okay, there is a vector to this, and that's the thing that's got me befoozled. It's like, why is the vector so absolutely specific?
Can I explain that? Can I comment on that, please?
Yeah, go for it.
It's gravity.
Okay. Sorry to interrupt. I'm trying to find a gap and not cut anybody off. I've asked this question before. That's actually one of the first questions that I asked when I came in to y'all group. I asked Paige about this, and Paige answered me, and other people answered me. The up-down bias. What can I say when I'm in debate and at people, I talk about gravity, they bring that up, why up-down bias? And the question that I was given, a possible explanation, not saying that it is electromagnetism, and the up-down bias is just because the Earth.
There is no up-down bias, guy.
Right, yeah, I'm not saying there is. I'm not saying there is. I'm saying the perceived up-down bias is caused because there's way more. If it's electromagnetism and down below is the Earth, and there's a lot more thing that's going to go towards that. Because there's more of that.
Don't make me go Nathan Oakley on your ass, dude. I'm just kidding. But don't make me go Nathan Oakley. Look, everything, it takes a force to lift something in the fucking air, guys. The force is lifting it in the fucking air.
Brian.
Oh, Danielle, please.
Yeah, calm down.
It's all right. There's a lot of disagreement on this point. I look forward to your show tomorrow, Bob. What channel is it on and what time is it on at?
Hey, thanks.
Brandon, can I just come in there for a second?
Well, hold on a minute. I just asked Bob a question. Bob, what time's your show on, and what channel is it on tomorrow?
Globebusters at 6.
Oh, Globebusters.
Eastern.
Okay.
Awesome. I look forward to watching. I ask just one thing. Start off on the ground. Walk outside. Everybody, walk outside right now and look at everything. Nothing's falling. Everything's in harmony. The temperature, the pressure, the elevation. Everything's in harmony. Start off on the ground. And then when you start talking about force, don't use a force to raise something in the air and then say that there was no force to raise it up. The force was it dropping back down. Start off on the ground in reality. That's all I ask.
Yeah, I've got an opinion on this. But
the question from ballers that I get is when you said lift something off the ground. and it starts all, everything's in harmony, everything's at equilibrium, and then you lift something off the ground, but when you let it go, they would say, well, why doesn't it go sideways? Why does it go down? That's why they imply the downward bias, and I was trying to find an answer to be able to debate that, and the answer that I was given is electromagnetism.
Nothing is in equilibrium. Very few things are in equilibrium, because if they were, things would not exert weight on other things. So to say that everything's in equilibrium is ridiculous.
There's no sideways in
Bob,
temperature,
that's not
guys.
quite true, because here, things exhibit weight when they are in disequilibrium with the medium that they're in. If you're sitting in your chair, you're not in equilibrium. You're in you're in a medium that is less dense than you. That's why you're putting weight down.
There's no sideways with temperatures, guys. There's no sideways with temperature. There's no sides with pressure. Pressure doesn't go.
Damn,
We're
Brian.
not talking
Hold on,
about
Paige.
bias.
Temperature doesn't go sideways. Temperature goes up and down. That's a human contract. We assign temperatures to go up and down. There's no sideways temperature.
Right.
There's no pressure goes up and pressure goes down.
Hold on, I made it.
The best.
I wanted to hear what Bob thought about that point. Bob, you said it. Not everything is in disequilibrium. Not everything's in equilibrium. I agree. Most things are not in equilibrium. That's why they have weight.
Proven that they're not. But dude, Brian, look, I get that you're passionate, but for fuck's sake, stop yelling the same thing over and over and over again.
Yeah, my bad. Go ahead, Bob. My bad.
It's fucking for God's sakes. I don't want to turn this or Nathan or my show into Nathan Oakley. That's fucking. And here's the reason, guys. I want you to hear something. I said recently that there would be people that would be excluded from this. And did I mean the people from Nathan Oakley, like Riley and people like that? Yes, I did. Why? Because you cannot fucking express an opinion without being called a shill. You can't think differently without being called a shill or somebody spreading rumors about you, that you are a child rapist supporter. This is what these people do, right?
That's right.
So,
yes, sir.
So fuck them. Fuck Nathan Oakley and fuck that entire crew. You know, we're going to have a discussion, not a fucking free-for-all.
Do you fancy having a discussion with me, Bob? Bob, I'll discuss gravity with you. How about that? Bob, how about having a discussion with me? I'll give you a reasonable... Bob, I'll give you a reasonable discussion.
Before Rumpus takes over the whole show, I just want to say something before Rumpus takes over the whole show. I just want to...
Calm down.
You're taking over the whole thing right now. Shut up, Rumpus.
He's already gone.
That guy is a fucking moron. I cannot stand these fucking people.
Can I just say one?
Hey, I want to say
if I'm standing on a rock, am I in equilibrium?
God damn it! Shut the fuck up.
That's all.
Hey, here's what I want to say. Listen. You guys. I can't host a show if you talk over me. I can't do it.
Yeah.
I have to start muting people. But listen, I wanted to say that I agree with Bob. We should be able to disagree with each other without losing our shit and doing stuff like he mentioned, calling people, whatever, spreading rumors about them. And if Paige thinks something different than me, if Paige, for example, if you think that level is horizontal and it's already been proven and there's no reason to talk about it, if Bev thinks that, you guys think that, that's fine. I want to try to prove it. So that's a difference. There's no problem.
Yeah.
That conversation, Bev and
no problem whatsoever.
No problem. We don't need to attack each other over our beliefs. No one's going to win this game. At the end of the day, we're all either going to be a flat earther or a ball earther or the same type of flat earther or the same type of ball earther. We're never going to have the same opinions.
Yeah, and
well said, brother. Well said.
Circles.
That's it. And
That's what I want.
Flat earther,
Can I ask Bob a question, please?
Yeah, in just a second. And you guys know I'm a flat earther. I've dedicated 6 years of my life to this. I am very passionate about it. And yes, I have a different view on something. I do believe that there is a bias force present. I have a lot of evidence to present to prove that. And I am open for the discussion. What I am not open for is people calling each other fucking shills and interrupting and screaming their point over and over and over again. That gets nowhere.
I agree, and half of us wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Bob. Half of us wouldn't even be here, man. We all love you, Bob. Just so you know.
Can I ask Bob a question?
I just want to say one.
Hold on, I want to ask Bob a question.
All right, go ahead, Brian, and then illegal. You can go after that.
Bob, do you see the density tower in the chat?
Hang on, let me go to the chat. I'm actually not on it. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, I am. Hang on a second.
The standard density tower that what's his name always shows. I'm sharing it too, Bob.
Have you got the density tower, Bob?
Let me read the super chat while he's looking for that, Brian. And then we'll get right back to that. Tis I the count.
He's gone. He's gone.
Oh, that's okay. Tis I the count. Bob, you can pull a better vacuum than 10 to the -6 torr with a glass bell jar on a desktop. It's trivial. Bob went to another room. I'll tell you what, I'll read that again if he finds his way back in here. I know.
He's clicking on the wrong one, obviously.
Oh, shit, Bob.
Are you back, Bob?
There he is.
Hey, sorry, I hit the wrong damn button. I hit it.
Yeah, I thought you had.
Yeah, we saw you bouncing around out there.
Have you got the density tower now?
No, what I'm seeing is a Cleary just posted something.
Right, but
click on Brandon.
A little
It's on
bit further up. A
Yeah,
little
it's in
bit
the-
further up, you'll see
at
the
the
density tower. In the middle there, you've got dish soap, correct?
Okay, yeah, I see it.
See the dish soap? Now let's do a thought experiment here. We got a syringe full of dish soap. If we get this syringe and inject it onto the top layer, which way would it travel?
It's a down.
Down to the dish soap layer, yes?
Exactly.
Right, now we're going to put a bit of tube onto the syringe and go right down to the bottom layer and inject it into the bottom layer. Which way is it going to travel? Thank you. I'll rest my case.
Yeah, guys, when I did my presentation on this, 2 years ago, I used that exact example. And in fact, I think it was Brian that was just quoting that, that I started out with the thought experiment with the vacuum and all of that stuff. But what you guys are not seeing is this bias there that has to be there in the first place, or the density tower won't work at all. If there isn't,
I agree, and I do see your
Hold
point,
on,
Bob.
let him finish. Let him finish. Let him
Yeah,
finish.
my bad.
Okay.
The same substance went up and down depending on the medium it was in. Nothing to do with the substance, nothing to do with a pull from the earth. It is the medium it is in. That's the only thing we changed.
That is absolutely not true. There is.
It is true. What else did we change?
Man, you're missing it, Brian.
We injected it into the bottom layer and it rose.
Oh, for God's sake.
Brian, calm down. You guys are
Yeah, let Bob finish, guys. Let Bob finish. I got one more point I want to make, but let's hear Bob out, because I do understand his point, but I want to give an alternate point. But let him finish, guys.
Nothing changed, all right? Because the force, the bias was there and always has been there since the very beginning. It is that bias that is required to make it happen. Now, the way I can prove that is when the guys took the density tower up in the 0G plane and they arced it over and went to a 0G condition, you shake that up, then all of a sudden the density tower doesn't work anymore. Why is that? Because there is not a bias being applied to it. Then, if you go beyond that, if you nose the plane over a little bit more and actually force things in an upward direction, right? Then what happens? The density tower reorganizes in the opposite direction. What does that tell us? That tells us that there must be an initial bias there in the first place.
Now let me give my response to that, and I do understand that, just so you know. But the question is where is the equilibrium? Is it on the ground? Are we in equilibrium? Or falling down? Are we in equilibrium? That's the whole point. That's the point Jaron made. Is and that's the same thing to do with temperature. Okay, if you don't look at it as going below zero or below the temperature that's around you, then yeah, you could start off with a zero temperature and say that there's no up and down, there's only up, okay? And the same thing with pressure. If you want to start with a zero pressure and say the only way is up, but in reality, nature works on equilibrium. equilibrium in mine and Jaren's argument, and I do see your argument, Bob, and I'm glad we sparked this conversation. But my point would be that equilibrium is on the ground. On the ground to start. On the ground to start with is where equilibrium starts, not in a fantasy world of absolute zero, or fantasy world of zero pressure, or fantasy world of a void of space. Let's start our reality on the ground with room temperature, with the pressure that's around us, and let's go positives and negatives. That's my whole point. But I do understand your argument, Bob. I do respect you. Go ahead.
Good, but you're not at equilibrium. Like I said, if you're sitting on the ground, you're exerting a force on the ground, and that force,
you're better.
So there you have a force on the ground, and when there's a force present, there is not a condition of equilibrium. Okay, it's as simple as that. So there has to be a bias, and I'm proposing. I'm not saying that the model of gravity is what's causing it. I'm saying that what's causing this bias is, in fact, an electric phenomenon, and we have demonstrated this very well with Zach's, magnet experiment when we were showing non-coherent and coherent magnetism. And basically, magnetism and gravity are the same thing. It's just that one is in a coherent layout, meaning that it becomes additive. And non-coherent, it's just kind of a jumble. There's a very, very low bias there. And that is all that is required to make that tilt from one side to the other. And to prove that, again, when you're in that zero-G plane, right, it doesn't take the pilot to push but a little teeny tiny bit more to cause that density tower to reorganize in the opposite direction. That's all I'm saying, is that it doesn't take much of a force to set that bias. But that bias is absolutely required to make that density tower work. Without it, it won't work at all. And another thing, by the way, you spoke with Jaren. Let me tell you what convinced Jaren finally. And I finally did get him to come over and see my side of it. And here it is. The way that he saw it is, I said, okay, I go, think of it this way, Jaren. If you put something in a vacuum, and he went immediately with like a lot of you guys are going to say, well, a vacuum is not a condition that exists. That's irrelevant.
It's not.
A vacuum is something that we can use to test, to set the conditions for our experiment. All right. But so here's the thing. So if you drop something, even a helium balloon, and it's in a vacuum environment, it's going to go down. But not only is it going to go down, and here's the kicker.
Bob, it's going to blow out on every side of the balloon, pal. Why do you keep staying in a vacuum? Okay, look.
Brian,
one more thing, guys.
Brian, let him finish.
Jesus
Christ, I thought he was done. My bad.
You have to do this. This is insane. This is absolutely insane. Nobody can ever finish the fucking point with you. This is why this.
I'm sorry, Bob. I thought you was done, bud.
No, I was still fucking talking. You know, I'm just going to take this up on the show tomorrow. This is ridiculous. And if this happens on our show, I'm just going to close the discussion down.
Hey, Bob.
Bob, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Bob, let's say we are using a vacuum like you suggest, and you're determining the rate of fall between objects, right? If you had a system set up, you would have a pulley on it, and you would reverse the action of it. You know, you're having something pull up mechanically, but at a steady rate. Would that rate change if inside a vacuum? If you're pulling the same, if you're taking the same object,
it would change a little bit.
It would change
a little bit, and here's why it would change a little bit, because there would be a little bit of atmospheric friction that would be on that pulley mechanism. But
that's accounted for. That's accounted for. We account for the friction of the pulley, the velocity and the friction of the weight. We account for all those extra added factors.
How can you
would the weight of the object change in a vacuum if I was to lift it up?
Would the weight of the object change? No, but the buoyancy will.
Okay, so if the rate of the object doesn't change, then what effect does gravity have on it? Because gravity is supposed to be affecting the weight of the object and the force, right? So if you're pulling against gravity in an atmosphere, there would be resistance to the atmosphere on both processes, going down and going up, right?
No, makes sense. It's actually being assisted.
Think about that before you make your video, Bob.
I'm not making any video. God, can't you guys even listen to what the hell I say? I'm having.
I'm listening to you. I'm listening to you 100%. But
that was a little aggressive. My bad. That was a little aggressive.
The thing is, I'm having a hard time associating a downward vector force as a bias because I have to pick everything up. So everything up is also a bias. So there's not just one downward vector bias, there's an upward bias as well.
Vertical.
Can we demonstrate anything that actually accelerates? Because that, like I said, here's the thing that got Jaron, right? And we were able to tell this by Felix Baumgartner's jump, right? Not only did, when he stepped outside of that capsule, did he go from 0 to falling, right? But he went supersonic. He kept accelerating and accelerating and accelerating until he got to what's called terminal velocity. And that is only when there was enough atmosphere then to cause enough drag to equalize basically that fall speed, right? So what caused him to continue to accelerate? Buoyancy does not explain that.
The lack of resistance.
Exactly. There's no buoyancy, guys. There's no
lack
buoyancy.
of pressure, right? So if you remove the pressure resistance, then he's not going to have something to push against.
Okay.
So then you're going to be able to accelerate. But as soon as that pressure is introduced, you no longer can accelerate. You'll start to slow down.
Is it not an axiomatic law of physics that, as far as I am aware, has never been debunked, that where there is an acceleration, there must be a force applied?
I got one very important thing left to say, guys, because I didn't mean to interrupt Bob earlier.
Can I ask a question?
The only way we need gravity is if we have a void of outer space. We need a void and absolute zero. You could keep going down and down and down. They could just keep moving the decimal place and never reach absolute zero. You got to have a zero, a void to reach absolute zero. Same thing with pressure. You got to have a zero pressure, and they could keep going magnitudes of pressure downward and never reach zero pressure. They never will reach zero pressure. They never will reach absolute zero temperature. They never will reach a void of outer space because it's not. It's make believe. It's where they put you to begin with. They put you in space with absolute zero and zero pressure, and these are not reality, guy.
Can I ask, Bob, did you say there's nothing in reality that accelerates upwards? So that's why this Felix thing, because he kept accelerating. That's why there's a bias.
No, I'm saying that, yeah, you can, obviously we know that a balloon will go upwards, but it's pretty damn slow.
It doesn't accelerate like what Felix did going down, did it?
Exactly. I mean, Felix, when he came down, he went beyond the speed of sound. And a helium balloon will never do that when it rises.
Never go that fast.
Yeah, because the disparity
even if it was the same weight as him, it won't go.
Very different.
If it's the same weight,
If you had, for instance, if you had a helium balloon in a pit of osmium, right, and let's say it wouldn't melt or whatever, it would go up super fast because the disparity of the densities is huge. Just like like Felix Baumgartner, who's super dense compared to the very
super fast
thin
does
air.
not put a speedometer on it.
Let's change the density of air.
Hold on, Brian. The point is the helium balloon will always blow on out in every direction. It will never. The balloon itself, the solid plastic part of the balloon may go down. The gas will always blow out in every direction. Period. Always. You can take all the pressure out you want. The helium's going to blow in every direction.
Well, that's not really relevant.
If there's gas, it's not a vacuum, is it? It can't be a vacuum if there is a gas in it.
Forget the helium balloon. Let's say you have water and wood.
Extract everything for it to be a vacuum.
Right.
So
percentage. You had to follow up to what you were saying. Go ahead. You get stepped on. I can't hear you. Go ahead. Percentage.
I was just gonna say, forget the helium balloon. They're getting lost in, this red herring of gas. It's not about gas. What he's talking about is disparities of density. That's what dictates how fast the thing will go.
Yeah.
So if you have a piece of wood in a pit of osmium, it's gonna float up super fast. You don't need. We're not talking about gas. We're just talking about the disparity in density. Obviously, in water, it's gonna float up slowly because the densities aren't that different.
Well, it looks like there's a slight difference in that it's the balloon that's being pulled down, but the gas is actually trying to rush to fill the vacuum. So there's a slight difference there where there may not necessarily be a downward bias. It just flows outward to fill the space.
So for instance, if you have Felix Baumgartner and he's falling in this pit of balls, he's going to fall slowly. Right?
If our air
are going to be closer.
Yes, you're dead right. If our air was as dense as water, when he jumped out of that balloon, he would have gone upwards, wouldn't he?
Yep. Well,
exactly.
Probably not with all that gear. but who knows?
Howard,
So
go ahead.
it is just the medium we are in, and it's very hard to get your head round. Rich, that like he said, the different mediums.
And Howard will argue for Bob. Howard will argue for Bob all day long. Bob, please realize that Howard the baller will argue for you all day long. But when we're speaking, when you start your demonstration, please next time, please start in reality. Please start on the ground. I love you either way, Bob. Bye.
We all love him.
Howard,
Well,
ahead.
I think
Howard,
the thing that makes
let's let Howard have a chance to speak, please. Howard, go ahead.
I just think that Bob's acknowledgement of a point in reality that is practically impossible to deny is a step in the right direction, and I commend him for his effort.
An absolute void?
Well, the thing is, the thing that makes, flat earthers, like the Oakleys and other people go crazy is when we hear stuff about a downward bias that sounds like gravity pulling to the center of a ball. Maybe we could have some sort of downward bias on a flat plane with, the plane arranged like a flat plate on pillars or whatever, like an electrode on a magnetic or electromagnetic electrode, where you have the flat plate, and then up toward the dome you have another,
Please,
thing
man,
to
when you're
give an
talking
upward and a
Nathan
downward bias.
Lemon, when you're talking Nathan Oakley, he's going against guys like Rumpus, okay? When Nathan and Sleeping Warrior and all that, they're going against guys like Rumpus, and they have to contend with the bullshit and find the matters of contention, and they have done a great job of pointing it out. Bob, with all due respect, doesn't go against Rumpus. He won't acknowledge Rumpus. He will argue Rumpus, and Rumpus will agree with him 100% on this downward bias that does not fucking exist. Period. It's all equilibrium, guys. There's no such thing as absolute zero. They keep getting lower and lower, and they just add another decimal place, guys. The same thing with pressure. They just keep adding more decimal places. So Bob, Nathan is very careful and not dogging you out. Maybe not Sleep Warrior and all them. They may be a little more aggressive, but Nathan's very careful and not dogging you out. But he's very clear on his standpoint, and that is our stance in reality, okay? And he's got, like I said, he goes against people like Howard, like Rumpus, like all these people.
The thing is, those people are very those people are very dogmatic, and they don't let new science like what Bob appears to be doing take place with the ether, electromagnetics, or anything. They're very dogmatic, very rigid, and they just shout you down if you think differently than them in some ways. I'd hate to say. So maybe it's time that we went in a new direction so that this doesn't stagnate. Bob, you're saying?
That's why we have this channel, though, because we give a little leeway, man.
Relative density is the science. That is the science.
Again,
the fuck are you guys talking about?
That is exactly why my problem with the entire Nathan Oakley crew is, to sit there and call people down and then ask how your balls taste really. Is this really how we want to present ourselves to the public? Is that really what we want them to see? When we have a disagreement with other people, do you think that what we want them to see then is other flat earthers who have a different viewpoint go around and spread rumors that, Bob, he supports child rape because he doesn't support gravity, or he thinks gravity exists. So this is the kind of shit.
That is completely wrong, Bob.
It is disgusting.
If I heard that on Nathan's channel, I'd never watch it again, ever. I never heard that on Nathan's channel.
It's been said a million times.
It's
disgusting.
disgusting.
I've got it recorded. I have
on Nathan's channel. On Nathan's channel, that you support rape, dude? Really?
Yeah,
no, dude.
I have it recorded from Alwyn, and then it's the fact. It's the day that he banned me. And I'm like, and this is after we supposedly had made up. And Nathan is sitting there going, "Oh, Arwen, don't do that. Could you please stop doing that?" And then Arwen, and then he follows it up the next day, and he starts crying. He goes, "I can't believe I saw this footage, and Bob supports child rape." And Arwen, as he cries, right? I've got this shit recorded. The guy is fucking patently insane, as he's an asshole.
That is fucked up. I want to hear that, but that is fucked up. If that went out on air, that is fucked up. Yeah, I'd like to hear that.
He took it to, who's that one dude? Just like the worst troll ever, Tony. He's like a religious dude. Always, I don't remember his name.
Tony T.
What is it?
Tony T. I want to say.
Is it Sleeping Warrior?
No, not Sleeping Warrior. No. Well, no, but Sleeping Warrior is just as bad because you know what? Here's what he does. We've had discussion. We stopped this discussion 2 years ago. Why? Because he could not convince me that of his viewpoint. So then what he did is he started Skyping and going to Cammie, my wife, right? And he kept talking to her, and she's like, "Well, no, I don't really agree with that either." And then when he got frustrated with her, he told her to fuck off. And then he blocked both of us on Skype, and then he blocked me on YouTube, and then he went on and he made all these videos about me, challenging me when he knew full well I couldn't respond to him because I was blocked, and then saying that I was an agent, right, a government in place agent, right, all because guys, I have a different viewpoint. That is,
I don't believe.
Hey,
you're not an
just to
agent. That's
clarify-
crap, dude. You dedicate your life
clarify-
to spreading knowledge. I
Yeah,
agree.
just-
You're on
just
our
to
side,
clarify-
man.
Just to clarify,
You're
Riley
not an agent,
equals,
Bob.
Riley equals 33, just so you guys know. Riley
Well,
does
there
equal 33.
is a lot of gatekeeping. They don't want people to discover the ether. They don't want flat Earth to go in any sort of new direction. They don't want it to go toward Christ. They don't want it to go even toward a creator. A lot of Masonic infiltration, a lot of government shills. So it is what it is. Just no drama. Just make discoveries. Stay focused.
That's not true, Lemon. That's not true. That's not true.
Okay,
It's
listen, real quick.
not
Are
true.
we on
It's not
final
true.
thoughts yet?
What's not true?
Are we on final thoughts yet?
No, we skipped final thoughts.
I don't think
Thank
so,
you to
Tom.
the panel
Hey,
for
Brandon, could you
being
just-
on tonight. I'm going to shut the show down. We went to 8. It was a good discussion. I didn't want to stop the discussion on gravity.
Guys, let me.
I just wanted to plug my Premiere.
Yeah, go ahead. Plug your Premiere. Do it.
Yeah, great. So we're gonna be introducing this tomorrow, and like I said, I absolutely want to talk to the public about it. I want to get this in a nice discussion forum, and I am open to being wrong, guys. I really am, because I have to tell you, there's one thing that I even have a little bit of reservation about, and that is when Ken says that the entire universe is about pressure mediation. Well, that is a direct doorway open to what you are claiming, right? And I see a lot of logic in that. So it's not like I'm 100,000,000% dedicated to this. I just, I'm having a hard time not seeing the force. Okay. And that's what I want to talk about with people. But yeah, so join us tomorrow, and we will talk about this. And, I'm going to present my side. And, the other thing is too, guys, is that one of the people who's really concerned that I was going to corrupt is Raichi00000. And Raichi, of course, is a moderator on my channel, and I have every respect for her in the world. And right now, she's on board with Tony, the Sleeping Warrior. She's on board with that. You know what? But it's cool because I'm not threatened by her having a different belief than me, and neither is she, and neither should any of you be. Right.
Well, just when you're in your discussion, just don't go to a place we can't prove. Like, you can't, in my opinion, you can't support the firmament and a void at the same time. And when Eru gave his presentation showing that matter up there changed state and how things floated around up there, that's fine, but it's still matter. It's still superfluid and it's still up there. And until humans can reach a point past that, if you're using that in your example, then you're creating a big disequilibrium. Like I said, with the helium balloon, you could draw a vacuum on Earth, but the gas is going to go in all directions, man. And don't forget that, please. That's all I ask, man. Please.
I'm going to talk about the firmament, and I have many times before. I will give evidence for it, and believe me, there is a lot of evidence for the firmament.
Right, but is there an evidence for a void? For a void, a vacuum, a void.
A void. No, but there is a pressure gradient. And by the way, that's another thing we're going to be addressing is this, what is it? Gas molecules go down, down, boom, boom, retard fucking saying.
Can't have gas pressure gradient without
having to address, because that is blatantly not true. But I will get
Fair
to
enough.
that tomorrow.
Fair enough, Bob.
Sounds good. Looking forward to that. It is during our usual showtime, but that's fine. I understand a lot of people are going to want to be over there. Bob, quick. And Travis, you were going to plug your show. Go for it. Or your premiere right after this, I take it?
Well, yeah, I've got it scheduled for 8:30. So thanks, Brendan. But trying to change a bit of the format on my channel. I'm going to try to make a lot more shorter videos that are more informative and just quick and to the point, so people can get it. But right now, I'm interacting with a video that I found by Robert Greenler, who is a PhD in the area of atmospheric optics, and his video's absolutely great in terms of content. And so I showed the full length earlier today, and then I've already gotten one episode down where I reacted to it, and then this is part 2. So
can you drop a link to your channel, please?
it's yeah, I did it already, but here it comes again in the general, and it's also out there in YouTube land. So thanks.
Awesome.
Hey, so Travis,
thanks guys.
Travis,
all right, I'll be
watched-
back. I will record after the show. Appreciate everybody being on the panel. Really good episode. We covered a lot of stuff, some heated discussions, which in my opinion are good. So thank you guys. I'll be back. Oh, I'm
Hey,
sorry.
Travis,
one more
I watched
thing.
your video.
Sorry guys, I got one more thing. Bob, I said I'd read this while you were here because you were bouncing around channels when I read it the first time. Tis I the count, $5 super chat. Bob, you can pull a better vacuum than 10 to the -6 Tor with a glass bell jar on a desktop. It's trivial. That was a statement directed towards you.
Okay, great. I don't know exactly what his point is. Do you?
No, I don't. I don't know what he's getting at, but maybe he can elaborate next time.
Okay, sounds good.
Cool. Thanks, guys. All right. Woo! Holy shit, man. This is like riding a pack of wild horses tonight. Tired as hell. I'd eat a sandwich and take a shower and get a massage or some shit. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Everyone have a good night. Should be an interesting show on the Globebusters channel tomorrow night. I think I'll keep my show up if the viewership on the show drops to, I don't know, we'll say 50 people when that show comes on, then I'll shut it down and we can just go over there. Won't kill us to go watch another show for one. It sounds like it's being a pretty interesting discussion. I'm almost kind of on the fence about even having a show tomorrow, but we can at least do it for an hour. So yeah, we'll be around tomorrow. All right, guys, have a good night. Thanks, everybody. Thanks to the mods. Thanks to the channel members. Much appreciated. Thanks to anybody who supported the show tonight. And thanks to anybody who joined the show. Thank you, guys. Much appreciated. We'll talk to you later. Bye.